strategy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We got the almost full grid here. We got Rashad back, we got Joe, we've got Forrest Huddle, Brad and Jerry. Someone was betting that Rashad won't make it today either. I think Rashad was betting against that. So he's here today. I hope he won big time. I'll start off with Rashad. How are you doing? How was the last 1 month or 2 months that you haven't been here?
It's been like 2 weeks. It's been good. I've been super busy just getting some stuff done. So happy I could make it today.
Amazing.
We're happy to have you back.
I also won 10 Bitcoin today. So
it's always a good day.
Here you go.
It's always a good day.
I saw that today. I did not want to make a price thing, but I just saw that today that exactly 10 years ago on the day, we got like almost 100x from here. So it's like 647 or so. Like Google doesn't let me pick the exact date. So it could be a little bit off depending on what day was it exactly. But like July 10 years ago, it was 647. And now we had like 64K, which I found really hilarious. So I put it in the thumbnail. And I think it also teaches us to zoom out a little bit and see the bigger picture of Bitcoin and not be so focused on like what's happening in July and August, and like we come from like 90K down to 60K and now everyone is depressed. So I wanted to just take that as an entry of where we are going with Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is so important, and to zoom out and have a low time preference. How's it going for you guys in the Bitcoin ecosystem? Like Brandon, I see you all the time in the streams.
Yeah, just running my mouth as much as we can, So just it's always an honor to talk Bitcoin. Anytime you get invited anywhere, right? Anytime someone has you on a pod or whatever. I recorded with Bram yesterday, actually. Bram to be on his pod, and we had a few streams yesterday. So. Just trying to push the mission forward. This is when you build in the bear market, right? So just what everyone's doing and continuing to push forward. So yeah, you build your privacy stack, build your sovereignty stack, and you have to take away the noise of the world. Joe and I talked about this yesterday. Had so many talks recently with people, because we just, no matter who we are, we get inundated with this narrative, right? From every angle. And it just distracts us from what's important in life, and the things right around us, our spouses, our significant others, our kids, family, and building your stack, like, and actually producing artifacts. Like, go record some, push, just push live, just start writing, just do something, So that to me is the big thing. To start building a company, whatever it is. And so to me, that's the big thing. It's a makers versus takers economy. It's those who produce versus those who take and redistribute, and that's the battle we're in right now. So it's gonna be fun.
Makers versus takers, love that.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've noticed, like, I think all the Bitcoiners that are here now they're dialed in. Like, the green lights are on, to quote Jor. There's no, like, the tourists are gone, right? The tourists are gone. And I think it's on us as Bitcoiners to reach outside of the ecosystem, or the echo chamber of other Bitcoiners. So like, I just saw that Rajat has a debate coming up with Peter Schiff. I think like that kind of stuff, like he's going to be talking to a different crowd. Like, obviously Peter constantly farms engagement for Bitcoin, but his audience are gold bugs, right? So if Rajat can get through to a couple of those people with that, I mean, that makes a big difference to those individuals. And I lately have been going on like other podcasts. I got reached out to by a bunch of crypto people, and like this guy's like,
nice.
Making videos all about these crappy coins, but he has me on as like a Bitcoin expert. And I think that's a really good idea. Like, I think all of us could go on different podcasts. Like, another one I go on is passive income investing. It's all about covered calls and dividends and things, but I go on as the Bitcoin expert. And it's just a totally different audience. And I think that we all need to start doing that as Bitcoiners, is talk to people outside of Bitcoin and bring the Bitcoin perspective. If it's somebody that's interested in like how bad the government is, you bring the angle of Bitcoin is freedom, Bitcoin is sovereignty, Bitcoin is getting away from the reliance of that, right? If it's, there's just, Bitcoin just has so many different angles, and there's so many things that connect to it, And then I think it's just on us to get out there and talk about it in relation to whatever the other topic is.
One thing I'll say really quick before the other boys go is Forrest just nailed that, and it's getting outside of the echo chambers and it's talking nicely, right? Toxic maximalism is great for even the civil wars, like the things we're doing. Even though it'd be nicer if we could be more, more decency. At the same time, like that's life. And go look at the Civil War in America. Go look back at the Revolution. Go look at some of the propaganda, some of the campaigns, what was actually happening. I think it was like the 1800, like Jefferson versus Adams. Like they were literally talking about each other's sisters, I think, and stuff. Like I can't remember. This is from like 20 years ago. I remember reading this stuff, so I don't have the exact details. But this is just human history. But when we're going out to the normie world, that's when we need to meet them where they are. So like what Forrest just said is so important, and like relating to them, like not just, hey, I'm the Bitcoin expert. Don't just come in. And the Forrest is not like this, but like being a Bitcoin asshole, being a toxic maximalist, like these people don't give a shit what we're saying, and generally a lot of them. But if you can persuade a few people, Rajat will go on a Peter Schiff, persuade a couple of people. I mean, you guys see it in all of your comments all the time, right? Like one video, you might have one person that says something clicked for me today. That's one, and like that's that ripple effect going forward in the butterfly effect. So anyway, I wanted to restate that because it's so incredibly important for us to just keep on that mission, one day at a time, one person at a time.
I think it's also
it happens over time, right? It's gonna take a lot of time for people to really figure out what's going on. It's gonna take them some time. I think they're gonna have multiple touch points as well, right? It takes a minimum of 7 touch points to make a sale with someone. You have to keep contacting them. You have to keep talking to them. You have to keep bringing up the topic. At some, like, my goal is just to challenge Peter's views. That's all I'm going to do. And I feel like he puts everything out there. I don't think he has anything new. He's said the same things for the last 15 years. So, I mean, it's going to be fun to just make him question his own thoughts. Maybe he'll go a little bit insane with the questions that I ask him. So
you should bring up silver and gold and the price action, right? Like
exactly.
He's always talking about the price of Bitcoin. Oh, it's not a store of value. It went down this much. Well, why were you pumping silver at the top? Like, what happened to that, Peter? Mm-hmm. A little bit of his own medicine.
I was going to, because silver is down 50% now from the top,
I think
which is
crazy.
Like
that.
Yep. 50%.
It acts like a meme coin now, like silver, and almost gold less, but like silver definitely.
Yeah, agreed. And he talks about both, so it's both of them that are acting like meme coins to me, at least. He talks about them both, so why not?
Yeah, and gold bugs are on our team, man. You know what I mean? They understand what's going on. I can't stand the infighting with the anti-fiat people, because that's what we all are, right? And I remember when I switched from gold and silver, they were all mad. And, oh, man, how can you like that crypto crap and that Bitcoin BS and all this other stuff? I'm like, guys, listen, it's almost like we're like a military. We're just a different branch of the military, right? Fighting against the fiat currency. But I'm telling people right now, because it's the summertime and it's like, nobody cares again about Bitcoin right now. So this is how you sharpen your sword right now. Right? If you don't run a Bitcoin node right now, especially with all the stuff going on, the infighting and stuff, learn about it. Get a cheap node, try to run it, download the entire blockchain if you can. I know Start9 is very, very expensive, and people always start from the top. Work your way down. But the thing is, the main thing is understanding what is going on here. You know what I mean? Lou, what's up, man? And because again, we got to keep this thing decentralized. That's the main thing. And decentralization comes from you putting your Bitcoin in cold storage, running a node, most importantly, and try to learn how to mine and stuff like that. But just touch some grass and try to become a better Bitcoiner while everybody else is sleeping. Just keep stacking as much as you can.
I was listening to one of my favorite guys. Hello, Lou. Welcome to the Brady Bunch here. I was listening to one of my favorite guys, Earl Nightingale. I know Jerry's a fan of Earl too. And probably most Bitcoiners are. Is very in line with what we talk about, value for value, providing service to the world, the laws of the universe. And one thing he talks about is like scarcity sells itself. And it kind of made me think of Bitcoin. And you don't really have to promote it. You don't have to talk about it. It just kind of oozes itself out there. The problem, though, that I find in Bitcoin is that nobody really knows what it is. Like he was kind of comparing it to diamonds. Everybody knows what diamonds are, that they're scarce. They kind of sell themselves. But I feel like Bitcoin specifically it's had a very negative image from the general public for the last 17 years. And so you don't really have to sell it, but you have to combat the narrative and the negative marketing that's been, put towards Bitcoin, because you understand that it's an unstoppable force, a network, fully decentralized, which means it cannot be controlled, it cannot be manipulated. But because they can't stop it, what they do is they use information, and they've been doing it for a very long time, and they're very effective with it. And I would say Peter, even though he is a gold bug, he's been part of that anti-Bitcoin marketing team. So most things in life, you don't really have to sell it. If it's a really good product or it's scarce, people just kind of gravitate towards it, and it will happen over time. It's just how fast we want it to happen, how fast we want adoption. And it's really up to us. How many debates can we have? How many counter arguments do we have? How well-versed are we when we're talking to our friends and family and on the internet, trying to explain this thing to people who haven't put in the work yet? So that's kind of where I feel like we're at right now. It's going to happen over time. It's just kind of up to us to accelerate it.
I love the comment section. Really cool to see you guys. How are you doing, Lou? What's up on the Bitcoin side for you?
Everything's solid. Everything's good. So it woke up kind of late, so I saw it go up. I guess it was on a CPI news, inflation news. I'm not sure what it was. Obviously, at this point, we're at the point where price. I think narrative follows price. Like most of the time, it's just like Bitcoin's going to do what it does, and then people just attach any type of narrative they can to it to justify downside or upside. So. But everything's good, bro. Just trying to get as much as I could. Just trying to get as much as I could when I could, and just excited about I'm a copium guy, so I like to cope a lot. So I like watching technical analysis, but I also like watching future predictions. I think Robin, me and you spoke about future predictions and how they make you feel. So yeah, just everything's good, bro. I hope everybody's good here. Rajat, I'm a big fan. Watch his stuff all the time. Before getting into the space, or actually getting into the space, I watched a lot of your stuff. So you're the GOAT, bro.
I appreciate that, man. You seem like the GOAT here. I see your content every day. It's like it's crazy like how deep your audience is, man. Like they're so engaged. Holy.
Yeah, it's politics for you in 2026. I've also been doing it for years now. Like I think it's 5-6 years. I had a different channel that got banned, but the people still remembered this channel specifically. So yeah, I've been doing it for a while. So it's it's an attachment. I don't know what it is, but it gets me going too. But I think there's deeper meaning, and I think that a lot of the problems that they're trying to find solutions to, which makes them gravitate toward politics, has a lot to do with money, has a lot to do with, most of it really just has to do with money. It has to do with the military industrial complex, the protection of the dollar, reserve currency, everything. And trying to really, because I didn't really know that, right? I was just a spectator, spectating on politics, but then finding Bitcoin really gave me, and I think my channel, more meaning, that there is a solution to these problems. And so, I try to incorporate that as much as I could. It could be annoying, so I try to really just once in a while, mention it in there because, again, I think Brandon was talking about the bad name that Bitcoin gets. It's just like, for fuck's sake, right? Like, excuse my language, but like, it just gets really annoying, right? Because this, but then if you just mention Bitcoin, it's just like, oh man, I can't believe you're saying that on this channel. How dare you? You're trying to scam us. So it's just like, unfortunately, that's a lot of the boomer talk too. There you got to identify the crowds that have a hard time with Bitcoin, and most of them, in my opinion, could be young. They vary, but from my experience, a lot of the older people, they want nothing to do with it. They need somebody else like a Peter Schiff or freaking Charles Schwab or whatever, which they are doing it now. So I think it's going to take time, but by the time they get it, they'll be dead. So unfortunately, that's a joke, guys. You guys can laugh. That's a very dark joke, by the way. So I don't know. Hopefully things get better. But yeah, everything's good.
I mean, if Bitcoin fails, then all we have to do is just vote harder, right? Just vote harder.
Yeah.
And we didn't laugh, Lou. We didn't laugh because it was true. It was a true statement. So it was.
Like, damn, I'm saying boomers are all gonna die. It's like these guys ain't even laughing.
Hey, we're all going the same place someday. We're all going the same spot.
And well, change happens in generations, right? And it's I think who was it? John Oliver said that Bitcoin is everything you don't know about computers mixed with everything you don't know about money. And I think you're probably right. I mean, the boomers have a hard time with technology. Makes sense, right? We're all a bit younger here. We all grew up with it. It's just really about understanding money, and it's something that we don't understand in this society. We're born into fiat. We all talk about this, but we're born into fiat. We have no understanding of what really gives it value, and it's on us to step out of the traditional educational system to begin to think what is money and why that's important to understand. Then that leads you obviously to hard money. And if you have the technological background, you understand that we're not going back to the gold standard like some boomers out there think. And we need something that works digitally, and that's Bitcoin.
We got some boomers here. We got some boomer love in here, and it's not that anyone is here. We're not shitting on boomers. It's every generation has their issues. The only reason boomers, not the only reason, but the main reason boomers get shit, especially from Bitcoiners, is because you've lived more life, right? So it's harder, the more life you've lived, the harder it is to peel back the layers. And that's why, like, the boomers that are here, I have mad respect. I probably have the most respect for the boomers in Bitcoin than anyone, because they've lived the most amount of life, and then they have to unlearn and then relearn. Like, that's insane. I can't imagine. I'm 39 years old, and I started on the Bitcoin journey 10 years ago. I was, late 20s. Like, that's easy. Like, I didn't have much. I didn't pay attention to a lot of school, so I had a very empty tank. I mean, I had my constitutional Bill of Rights. I had all that in my head, and I wouldn't let much else in. That paradigm blocked all the woke bullshit, communist Fabian propaganda from school, because my father gave that to me. So, like, I already knew. But to imagine, it's hard if someone accepts that 60 years old or 80 years old, what we're saying to be true, then you then have to admit that a lot of your life was built on faulty incentives. And then you have to admit that you might have made other choices in your life knowing that the system was broken, knowing that these incentives were leading you down a path that you might not have otherwise chosen. That's a mind blower for people. This is why Bitcoin breaks people's mind. It's why you can't accept it. It's hard to accept. Going back to what Forrest said earlier and some of the boys earlier, and Rajat going on Peter's Schiff, you have to meet people where they are. This is not some, like, it's very easy logically to understand. But again, as we all know, humans are not logical. We're emotional. And that emotion comes up. We realize, oh my gosh, if this guy is true, my entire life is different than I thought it was. That's not an easy task. And that's what makes it difficult.
And I think it's also the Bitcoin being radical different from everything else that we've ever seen. You cannot compare it with something. If you can compare it with something, you could make comparisons. You can make like charts. You can kind of think about the Bitcoin adoption a different way. You can kind of put it in a framework that makes sense for most people. But it's not comparable with anything. We never had a digital good that is absolute scarce, that you can't copy, that you can't inflate, that you can't manipulate, that there's no leader in it. All of those properties that we love around Bitcoin are so unique that we've never had them. And so now people trying to put things from the existing world onto that, and they're like, yeah, it doesn't fit. Of course it doesn't fit. That doesn't mean it's bad. It actually means it's really, really good. It's that good that it's so new and so revolutionary. So I think people underestimate the impact that Bitcoin will have in the long run, just because they don't get what it is. And people there's a popular saying in Austria: the farmer doesn't eat what he can't smell. Like, I don't know if it makes sense in English also, but it's kind of like if he doesn't know it, he's not eating it. And so that's kind of like a lot of like traditional financial experts. They're like, oh, Bitcoin, I have a financial framework for gold, I have a financial framework for stocks and all of those, but I don't have a financial framework for Bitcoin, so it must be a scam. I feel like that's a lot of their thinking, and maybe also Peter Schiff's thinking.
I think one of the things that a lot of it's not all boomers. Keep that in mind. I'm not insulting boomers. I'm not saying that boomers are bad or they're stupid or something. But I think one thing that a lot of people in that generation want to do is they want to continue maintaining the value of the assets they own. right? And if our generation doesn't want their assets, then how do those assets maintain their value? And when you think about, let's say, for example, what's her name? Somebody from the EU. It's like the chair of the EU or something. I forgot
Ursula
what her name
van
is.
der Leyen or Lagarde?
Yes, I think it's.
Christina Lagarde.
I think it's no, it's the other one. Van
Both
Vander.
dipshits.
Van der Leyen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ursula
In
van
one
der
of
Leyen?
her
Yeah.
in one of her speeches, she was like, "We need real assets to be used as collateral." And she's talking about Bitcoin. She's like, "We need real assets to be used as collateral. We need stocks and we need real estate." But what makes Bitcoin a fake asset? I think that's the thing that they want. They want to just get everybody to even just get away from the perspective that Bitcoin is real, that it does something, that it can actually solve a problem. They want people to get away from that because as soon as people start figuring that out, their Ponzi scheme collapses. Like they need new people to join their Ponzi scheme. If new generations don't want houses, then how do house prices go up? If new generations start living in their cars and they start buying Teslas and they start just living in the back of it, then how do housing prices go up? They don't. And they need us to keep spending money on whatever they own because otherwise they lose a massive portion of their portfolio. That scares them.
Can I add to that real quick? I think that's Trump's biggest dilemma is that I think if Trump, if he moved toward housing collapse, I think we need it. Like I was looking at prices of homes and I was just like, man, this is I don't care. Like my house that I bought, I don't care if the value goes to zero. I'm gonna be honest. It is what it is. I know that I bought an overpriced home. Like I know it. Like these houses should never be this much. We should never have a crazy house inflated system where this is where we put our capital and this is where most of these billionaires and I just think real estate is the problem. Like I think that's why you see a lot of these kids going toward communism, socialism, right? Like they would love for no private property. Like they would love for no private ownership because they see the effects of what bad money, right? But they don't know that that's the issue. That's the problem. The problem is they don't know where this problem is coming from. But man, would I love to see a housing collapse. Like I would love to see I would. And I know it sounds crazy, and there's a lot of people who own homes who have their equity in the home, who basically their net worth is their home. But I just think that solves a lot of problems. Like it just does, and the fact that we don't have, I don't know. I think homes being valued at $4 million, $5 million is just absolutely insane to me. I think it's so wild that someone who wants to live somewhere has to pay a crazy amount of price, has to take out debt to own the house, and then has to pay the interest for like the first 20 years. And then the next 10 years will be equity. It's just like, it's a scammy ass system, man. And I think that's Trump's biggest dilemma. I was reading some article where there was a bill that he could sign, but that would be the start of like a housing bubble pop in certain areas in the United States of America. I have to read more into it, but I think that he would love for that not to happen, but also it would benefit him the most if it did happen, because the next generation will have something to look forward to, which is affordable housing, which is what he got voted in the first place, bro. Make life more affordable. Try to find ways to the freaking pop bubbles and, deflation, bro. Just focus on deflationary, aspects of that's what free market capitalism is supposed to be anyways. That's the natural state of the market, is literally deflation, but it's like it's crony capitalism. It's all over the place. So I don't want to go on a rant, but man, I just think that houses being worth that much and then having to take out debt to own it and then being a slave to that debt, I think that's why you have so many people my age. I'm 29. Everyone my age, bro. Like there's nobody I talk to that I can really relate to anymore. Like even my friends. Like, bro, they're all socialists, bro. Like, it's crazy to me. So, whatever.
They're all either socialists or they're all gambling.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
It. That's the two groups. They're either socialists and they're getting screwed
Almost
by not
one and the
gambling,
same.
or they're gambling and they're getting screwed by gambling.
Yeah, they're on Kalshi, they're on FanDuel, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But what do we do, right, with these kids that are being, put in these indoctrination camps from elementary school all the way up through college? Because it's obviously they're doing that with this socialist agenda. Like, because again, I always say socialism and Bitcoin don't go together. So what's it going to take, Brandon? I heard you talk about this, the 3% of the population. Like, how do we get there? How do we get the people? Because what Lou just said is perfect. It's all about the education, because people think a house is an investment. And, you know, Robert Kiyosaki a long time ago in his Rich Dad Poor Dad always said it's not an investment. Your house is not an investment. It shouldn't cost that much. And you shouldn't put your quote unquote savings and your investments into your house. But what's it going to take, guys? What is it going to take for the population to say, hey, man, you know, we need to start teaching these people and getting to the 3%, if the number is 3%? What do you guys think it'll take to get not mass adoption of Bitcoin, but just where we need to be to get to mass adoption?
Much more of this, Jerry. Much more of this. It's all it is, because you got to understand what we're up against here. It's, you said it, it's the system. The whole, since you're 5 years old, you're trained to be a good slave. I said that the other day to my sister-in-law, actually, because she's a teacher. And I said, I don't want my kids to be, you know, taught how to be good slaves. And she kind of like took offense to it, like as if we're slaves now. But if you compare slavery throughout time to where we're at today, what's the fucking difference?
Yeah, it's a different form. Yeah,
it's just in a better wrapper now. And so I think that it's really what it is. It's packaged better and it's sold better. And that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting against that whole complex that has unlimited money printing to fight whatever narrative they don't want. So eventually people get burned, and it comes in spurts. People get burned in different ways. And then they stop trusting the government, and then they stop trusting the media. And then they slowly find their way to streams like this, where we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about how overpriced real estate is. And then they start doing the calculations. It's just a very slow and painful process that we're kind of going through right now. And I don't want to get off topic here, but I don't ever plan to pay off my mortgage, because like Lou said, like it's overpriced as it is. I'm never going to get to own it. If I'm going to be putting my capital towards something, I want it to be Bitcoin. So an example of that would be if I did end up paying for the next 10 years, let's say I pay down $50,000 on my mortgage, I'm just going to take another mortgage on that, pull that equity out, buy Bitcoin with it, and just continue my loan forever till I die. I don't need to own that asset because I don't own that asset anyways. So that's kind of how I think about real estate. And so it's kind of like, you just got to spread it. You got to talk about it. You got to do shit like this. And it's uncomfortable. It's not, not sexy all the time, but it's what has to happen. It's the only way it happens, because nobody's going to do the work for us.
Jordan,
sounds like Trump's. Mortgage? Yeah, I was just about to say that.
What's that?
I was going to say, Nav just said Jordan's going to get a 50-year mortgage.
Trump 50-year.
I'd get a 500-year mortgage.
100-year. I know. Absolutely.
Debt.
Yep.
500-year mortgage.
100%.
Oh my God.
But isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy though, when you think about all this stuff, how, because we got Lou on here, he's a political expert, but isn't it crazy that how the Bitcoin cycles go exactly with the presidential cycles, right? All these things go together. And again, now that I'm into Bitcoin, and you know how they say New Year's resolutions, I don't give a shit about years. I don't even think about a year. I always think in cycles, right? I'm always thinking about the next 210,000 blocks, the next 4 years. So again, in order for us to do what we're talking about, get this adoption going and the education, because again, the problem is deep and is embedded in us since kids. Do you think the 4-year cycle was done on purpose, or was that just an accident? And how you think that plays a part in the future for us? Sorry, Robin, I don't mean to do your job. Sorry.
I think it would be pretty hard to do on purpose, because he released the white paper 2008 on Halloween, right? And then released the first implementation of Bitcoin. Like the Genesis block was mined in January 9th or January 3rd. January 3rd, right? So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
2009. So, a couple months later. And I think it took a long time to write this, but it's not going to and create Bitcoin. But I think timing it, like I don't think Satoshi would have waited specifically to try to time it with U.S. presidential and business cycles and stuff too. I do think it was a coincidence. sort of just directly answer your question personally, but like to hear from everybody else too. I don't know for sure.
I don't have any theory on that, but I sorry to jump back to your first question, Jerry. I love that question because you kind of mentioned like people are kind of asleep at the wheel and not paying attention. I think we have to separate two issues. The first issue is people not getting Bitcoin. I think that's not an issue because people will adopt Bitcoin no matter if they want or not. They will have either Bitcoin in self-custody, the real Bitcoin, or they will have some fake Bitcoin that they have to have because the government tells them at some point to do that, or like the game theory and the incentives will at some point they have to have something like that. But the interesting question that I ask myself a lot actually is, does Bitcoin have a meaningful impact on our society and wake people up and make people more sovereign and more independent? And the longer I'm in Bitcoin, the less I think it is that the way. The more I think that there will be the few percent that will be awake, that will know how to do things, that are independent, that go the harder way, but like hard choices and easy life kind of a thing. And they figure that thing out, and they're doing work and they're doing the hard stuff, like Lou, like Rashad, like you guys all doing with your work and being an entrepreneur in the space, and doing something that seems more risky, doing something that seems a little bit more outside of the norm. But for that, you get an easy life long term. And I think that's I don't know. I don't want to be like the drawdown here, but like I think that will always be the case. I think there's like a small portion of the population that do a lot of the work, will have a lot of the rewards because they do a lot of the work also. And then a vast majority of the population don't get anything because they don't do the work. They're not questioning things. They're not reading things. They're not like hustling things. Like they just do whatever they are told to do, and then you always stay the pleb. I don't want to use pleb because pleb I feel like is a cool word in Bitcoin, but it is like that. I don't know. Do you guys have other views on that? Like it's more one of my more sad views on Bitcoin's impact on the world.
I don't think we're ever gonna. I think there's going to be, like you said, there's going to be certain people that take self-custody, take this really seriously, be very sovereign about it. And with those people, they actually have the ability to really control something that they understand all the fixed rules of. And I think that's really the revolutionary change with Bitcoin is not really like taking self-custody is one aspect of it and the ability to do that, but it's really this transparent ledger that has controlled issuance and max supply, and that nobody can change that and fix that for themselves to benefit them and their friends, like the current financial system. And with reality to like if you try to be a sovereign individual right now, without Bitcoin, like you can take custody of your dollar bills, but you know that somebody is like secretly sort of stealing the purchasing power away from that. And it's sort of this theft, and yeah, you still have custody of it, but what does that custody mean if somebody can sort of reach in and take the value of that away by printing more of it? So I think the true ability to take custody and to be sovereign is a superpower of Bitcoin, but absolutely that isn't for everybody. There's just people that just don't care to do that. They just I'm going to export the responsibility of self-custody to somebody else that will protect me, and they'll protect me by having their security measures. And that's what people do with banks, right? That's how banks were developed. Hey, I have this this room in a building that's made out of metal, and you can store your valuables in there, and there's a nice big lock on it, and you're allowing somebody else to be responsible for your wealth. And I think that's probably going to be recreated with Bitcoin throughout time. However, there's ultimately still that ability for an individual always to take self-custody. I think that's always going to be possible. And I, there's other people that disagree with that. Like NVK says, like, you're basically in the future, people will just have shared UTXOs in the form of like a layer 2, like Lightning or Arc or Spark. And you have some semblance of maybe unilateral exit or something. But if you don't have enough and the on-chain fees are too much, then it becomes complicated. But I do think that you'll have a level of sovereignty that is restricted ultimately by the base layer, not allowing non-sovereign games and on top of Bitcoin, if that makes sense.
I think that the banks are like, that's a great analogy there for us. And I think that if you think back to like what the banks were, I don't know if banks used to be for everybody. Like I feel like the whole steel safe, you can put your assets in here. It was for the wealthy people because they didn't want to have the gold at their house because gold is a huge vulnerability. If somebody knows you had 200 ounces of gold in your basement or in your backyard, it's going to be gone by morning. So they trusted the banks with a safe to do that for them. I don't think it's the same as Bitcoin because you can now store Bitcoin in a much more efficient way that really reduces the risk of getting robbed. I think that we're going to go through a tough couple of years here of like more kidnappings, more robbings. But like as this plays out, people are going to realize that Bitcoin's impossible to steal because you can put a key in this country, a key in this country, a key in this country, and you have to bring two out of those keys together to move any Bitcoin. So I think that where we are right now, 100% agree with you, Forrest. Like nobody wants that. Nobody cares about it. Nobody realizes the importance of that. But in the future, I think as more people get educated around what Bitcoin is and how good you can actually secure it, that makes the banks kind of obsolete. And people will, I think anyways, maybe different generation might actually want to take sovereignty of their assets. And it probably won't be for everybody, right? Like if you got, you know, say 10,000 sats, like, do you really need to put it in 3 different countries? No, but the wealthy people, the Bitcoiners with a Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin or whatever that is, they'll definitely want to keep their own kind of protection over that. So I don't know. I think that demographics changing, generations always kind of move slowly. You know, things change by the generation. And agree, where we are right now, nobody wants that. Nobody cares too much because they don't know Bitcoin's ability either. But I think that will change in the future. I really do.
But like, how many people right now that own Bitcoin have self-custody, and how many of those who have self-custody have run their own node? As like such a small percentage. Like I always,
probably.
I have no numbers, but I imagine it's a very small percentage. Even if I ask I asked one time on my YouTube channel who has Bitcoin and has it in self custody or has some in self custody, and it was like 40%. So if it's on my channel that low already, I think it's like maybe 5%, probably lower. I don't know. But the question is like, how many people actually doing the work, and in that early stage of Bitcoin, the services and the ecosystem around Bitcoin will be so much better in 10 years and so much more convenient and tried and tested, and like all of those certificates, and people will just be lazy and not do self-custody, or like do some sort of semi self-custody where you have one key and like there's like institutions that have other keys, like that kind of like not really self-custody, but you can claim you have a key and you have some transparency on the ledger, so they don't do anything with the key. So the more I'm in Bitcoin and the more I talk with people, the less I think it will be a mainstream thing. I would love for it to be otherwise. I mean, I'm a co-founder of a self-custody company with Microseed. I am incentivized for everyone to use self-custody, but I just don't think it will be mainstream. I think it will be for a small elite that has the maximum freedom, that are right now in this room, and not only like the 7 of us, but also the 100, 200 people that listen to this. They are like a small elite that gets self-custody, they get sovereignty, they get freedom, they get Bitcoin, and they are the ones that have the ability. And that's what Forrest also said before. It will always be the ability for us to do that. I think so too. But it will never be the mainstream. I don't think we'll ever get to like 30% of Bitcoiners or 30% of people that have exposure to Bitcoin have Bitcoin in the self-custody or something like that. I think it will be way less.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think you're probably right. And you know, we probably just need a few more good rug pulls before people realize the pain point, right? Like how many people, what percentage of people increased in self-custody because of Mt. Gox, because of Quadriga X, because of FTX, and the countless other exchange failures. You know, everything looks good if you trust BlackRock with your Bitcoin, and you have IBIT, and you don't care about self-custody because you have fiat price exposure to Bitcoin, but it's a fiat gain when you don't have custody of it, when you're not checking your own transactions with your own node. Like you are at some degree of fiat games with your Bitcoin the further away from self-custody you go. And I think that it could be pain that bring people into self-custody, and I think that there's going to be there's some combination or some variation of the future you predicted there, Jor and Robin. I mean, it's very hard to know any future. But the other thing that could happen too is a premium on self-custody Bitcoin, on real Bitcoin that isn't custodied by somebody else. And there's too much risk for arbitrage between them. And this is something that you see with gold right now, with paper gold and real spot gold. And, you know, I think the gold exchange in Hong Kong, I believe it was, maybe China somewhere, not super familiar on the story, but basically they're trying to restrict certain activities to bring out the real price of gold, because when there's paper gold on top of that, there's the ability to play paper gains. And, you know, it could be pain points like exchange failures, or it could be the idea that literally self-custody Bitcoin is more valuable than custodied Bitcoin. And then that's an incentive, right? It's all about incentives. We follow incentives. If you have a natural incentive to say, hey, I don't trust the custody solution, you're going to take custody. If you say, hey, this is more valuable if I take self-custody, there's the incentives, right? So I think it really just is dictated by what the incentives end up being in the future.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I would even make that argument that it's already now more valuable in self-custody than not, because you can already do more. So it's like on a dollar basis, it's not more valuable. It's like you get the same amount of dollars, euros, whatever your currency is, but actually you can do more stuff with the Bitcoin if you have it in self-custody than if you would have it on an exchange or Coinbase or semi self-custody, because then you're relying on someone else. If I have Bitcoin in self-custody right now in my home, I can send it to you right now and you will have it in like 10 minutes. If I have semi self-custody, I have to call someone, I have to do those things, and like it's there in like 3 days, 4 days. If I have it in an exchange account, I might not even be able to send it to you. So in a way, we already have a premium on self-custody Bitcoin because you have more ability and utility in that same asset.
Yeah, I mean, there's benefits to both, right? Like if you have Bitcoin in an ETF in a margin account, you can borrow against it for really low rates. You could sell covered calls on it. I mean, there's different use cases for different things, but I do agree with you. I mean, the permissionless and censorship resistant nature of real self-custody Bitcoin is incredibly powerful, like you suggested there with that, the story of being able to send it immediately without asking permission or without getting blocked by your exchange for, is this your wallet? Like there's no questions, right? Is this your wallet? Or are you sending to somebody else? Or is somebody telling you to send Bitcoin? Like these kind of crazy things that happen with exchanges. And yeah, I mean, I think we all value self-custody Bitcoin way more, but the world has to begin to wake up to that.
It's nice not to have to put in your phone number and confirm it to do something.
Get a text message.
2FA. Yeah.
Facts. But you know what the problem is with
interoperability.
Is what the monopoly on socialism right now. A lot of people don't want to take personal responsibility. I always tell people capitalism is personal responsibility and socialism is not. So most people don't want to take the responsibility of not only, you know, what they do in their life. You know, they want to be given something. They want people to take care of them. They don't want to work. They want the people that are the quote unquote bad billionaires to take care of them, even though they hate them and they want to distribute the wealth from them. It's going to be very difficult for those people to do self-custody and get them.
Isn't that crazy? They say, oh, it's all blood money, but they want to redistribute that blood money.
Exactly. But again, they're hypocrites. You know that. If
it's blood money, why do you want it? Why do you want it to support your life?
So wow. And this is why we talk about this a lot too, the power, persuasion, the vibes, the energy, and this is what we mentioned right at the top. That's what's very persuasive and very the contrast is very important. So the meme of CBDCs and slavery or Bitcoin and freedom, which way are you going to go? Anon, Western man, whatever. Those memes are very powerful and it's very important because, like you guys have all said, I mean, someone here is just listening, or maybe it's their first time here, 7 of us here, and we're all basically saying the same kind of thing. People that have all been here, I mean, the cumulative time that all of us have been in Bitcoin is, decades. And so you look at that and you say, okay, and I remember I always bring this up too with Pierre Rochard, who's, one of the OG writers in Bitcoin, from, 14, 15 years ago. And he was like, yeah, the first year I thought everyone's going to get Bitcoin. And here we are 14, 15 years later, and like cutscene, we have very little adoption still. So all that to be said, don't get shaken out of what's going on. Don't stop the fight. And this is where Lou comes from the political side, Jerry, politics a little bit, but gold and silver in a traditional world you come from. I come from real estate world and the political world as well. All the boys here up the top, same thing, like these different worlds that we come from, and they all coalesce around this same problem we've realized from all these different angles we've come from. And so you can't stop from these different, you have to fight in different battlefronts. And Jerry talked about earlier about some of these things just being a different branch of the military, and the war is huge. These wars are massive, and they're fought on different battlefronts with different branches and on different battlefronts in different cities and different countries and different areas. And that's how you have to look at it. We get so myopic and think we want our instantaneous stuff, which I'm guilty as anybody of thinking like this is going to happen tomorrow, and we have Instacart delivering us things or whatever it is. And that's unfortunately what holds us back a lot of times in the patience factor. And we try to get fancy, we try to get cute, and we try to shortcut things. We end up losing Bitcoin because we're trying to get too fancy, or we end up messing with the time chain, or we end up doing too much, and we get out of consensus, and we're getting too fancy, right? We're activity bias. And so that's where at the end of the day, you have to fight with your vote, your actual vote. Because like the Mandami thing, tangenting politics, right? And Lou can tell everyone this, but the Mandami, the thing the other day, right, with a couple of socialists getting voted in the primaries, I believe it was like 10% of the people voted. So that's what I laugh when people say their vote doesn't matter. Well, your vote doesn't matter because you didn't show up. And how many people now are so disillusioned? It's in sports, it's a forfeit, right? When the other team doesn't show up. That's what the devil wants. The devil wants your will broken. So it's not to say that voting is the only thing. And Jor, when I went back and forth on this yesterday, but it's one front of the battlefront. And then you have to vote with your money. You have to vote with, rug pulling the system, pulling your money out of fiat and putting it into Bitcoin, self-custody. And then you got to vote with your voice. That's what people are doing here in the chat. That's why we all show up every single day. And we all are streamers. We're all educators. You have to vote with your feet. You move to a different area. There's so many ways we can vote now, and all this coming together, and the patience over time. And someone mentioned this earlier, science progressing one funeral at a time. That's a story of life. That's nothing against boomers or the silent generation. That's just life. And eventually it'll be Gen Xers and millennials, us. We will be those people. There'll be people 70 years younger than us, and they'll be doing something else. And then they'll looking at us and be like, hey, you got, and all those distractions of like race, class, division, all these different things, the societal caste system, like those are all just distractions from what the devil wants us to be distracted from, which is, hey, the treasury's over here melting down the coins and controlling the world, but we're all in the Colosseum, jousting each other and fighting over these different, stupid divisional wars. That's the lunacy that we find ourselves in over and over. And the story of history shows us that these empires, they come up, they fall, that people start fighting each other for some, stupid ass reasons. It's, Cleopatra, someone's cheating on their wife, so we send out my whole military, it's just like dumb reason after dumb reason. So it's like, how do we pull ourselves out of that and start, lowering the temperature and noise of what's actually happening? So to me, it's just patience is the big thing. It's not the sexy answer like someone mentioned before, but unfortunately, it's the correct answer. It's the right answer. Take care of yourself. Be the people that we want to attract to us, and become a better person. Put yourself in order. Control what you can control. And then over time, us continually doing, and people showing up in the chat, as people get touch a stove and people burn themselves, they come to find people like us that are talking this stuff, the people in the chat, the people on the screen here. Then they come to find, that's how we all found it. Took me 5 years. I was money guy. I was political guy. I was all this. I saw Bitcoin for 5 years and kind of like in and out and whatever. It took me from 2013, 2014 till 2017, 2018 to really start grokking Bitcoin. And I was in the space, and I was gold guy, and I was silver guy, and I was doing real estate and doing all this stuff. So it's like, I kick myself all the time of like a guy that was in the space. It's not like I was a normie out in left field, just like, digging ditches all day, or I was a lawyer and I was doing this or some random job where I was never involved in money and financial. I was there. So it's like, that's the thing where we have to have grace with ourselves, and we have to have grace with other people too, because it takes time. Like the boys have mentioned as well, it takes, 7 hits to kind of get it, the marketing, but all these things, they take time. It takes touching the stove. You can lead the horse to water. We cannot make him drink, cannot make someone drink. They have to come to it on their own. And it's just us there to meet them where they are.
Preach, Brandon.
Nobody wants to hear that though.
No, it's not sexy. We probably had 100 people leave the room just now.
That's the thing, is like, You want people to watch your video, you say 6-pack abs in 30 days or $1 million in 90 days. Like that's what people click on. Nobody's going to click on a thumbnail that says buy Bitcoin, hold on to it for 10 years and do nothing else. Like nobody wants that. Nobody has 10 years. Like they don't think that far ahead. Lou, you're probably the youngest guy here. Shout out to Robin, our host, who had to duck out early here. So I guess I'm going to be in control of things here, which too soon to say how that'll go. But Lou, you're the youngest guy here. How did you push past that like instant dopamine hit to something that you think you can settle down for 10 years, maybe? What led you to Bitcoin?
It's a great question. I would say for me, look, I got an interesting past, right? So like I had a lot of different journeys that I've gone through in like the last 10 years. But I would say, I was gambling a lot in 2020 and 2021, right? That like post-pandemic gambling is a real thing. And I was one of those people. I was also trading Bitcoin in 2020 and 2021. I was just trading it. I wasn't really interested in it at all. I was just trying to make money off of it, and lost a lot of money in gambling, lost a lot of money, period. Over time, I didn't really have cash flow. I didn't have much going on. This is before I began to, dive into politics, try to get on camera and, start YouTube channels and do that stuff. So I would say that the journey of a 29-year-old at that time, maybe 24, 25, is I don't know if it was Rajat that said it, but it was more like, yeah, the gambling stuff is real, bro. Like I saw how obsessive I got, thinking that I could bet on this, and I could bet on that, and I could bet on this team this day, and you think that that's a way out, but I just think that I think for me, the moment that I just made a pact with myself, I said I'm just going to provide value. And I'm just gonna be valuable to the world, and in exchange for that, I'm gonna get fiat, but I'm gonna convert this into something that no one else can print any more of. And for me, that's the piece that I've come to, is that I'm not looking to get rich fast. Now, obviously, by having that attitude, I have gotten rich very fast, right? Like I have videos that pop off. Like I've made an extraordinary amount of money compared to my life, compared to the last 5 years. It's a lot of money, in my opinion, a lot of cash, and I've just been very blessed. But for me, it was just the attitude change of I'm thinking, 40, 50, 60 years old, grandfather me, how proud am I going to be of myself for the decisions that I'm going to make today? And I think that is something that I think a lot of people my age they aren't doing. They don't even want to have kids, right? Because in their world, the world is too evil. The world is bad. And, doomsday stuff. And I think that is what I needed to get away from. And that's where I saw Bitcoin as, because Bitcoin opened me up to just learn about everything. I was learning about the Bretton Woods Agreement. I was learning about the Monroe Doctrine. I was just learning about the dollar before, fiat, before everything. I was just learning about, the causes and effect of money, births, divorces, everything since 1971, since we went off the gold standard. What changed and where are we? And yeah, I think unfortunately for people my age, they don't care enough. A lot of them don't, but they don't care enough to care. Like they don't want to know more. Like they're at that point where they're like, man, F that. I just want to live life. I want to party. And unfortunately, that to me, to Brandon's point, that to me is the worst thing you could do, because 10 years down the line, when you're 40 or when you're 45, you didn't have any kids, you don't have anything. Like you don't have any proof of work. Like you didn't do anything, right? Because you thought that partying but you have another 50 years to go, and you can't share these moments with people. And I think that, and my last point is, for me, the most important thing that I want to tell people my age, and they're like, well, bro, why are you promoting this Bitcoin thing? For me, it's just like, bro, I want to have a family. I want to have a mansion in New York somewhere, not the city, but New York somewhere, where I can have access to my family. I can go to the Yankee games. I could do all of these things that I want to do. What I'm gonna get, what I think of money, I just think of freedom. Like, I want to be able to access family. I want to be able to tell everybody, yo, come stay with me. Come here. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I think that that's what I want. That's what I want in the long run. And at 29, I'm happy that I'm at that point. But I think it was like a lot of trials and tribulations, bro. It was a lot of bad stuff that's out there that's calling my name. And I think that gambling, going out, partying, bro, like, I mean, everything, girls and drinking and, you know, having fun. For me, I have a focused mentality. And I'm just trying to share that with a lot of people my age. Like, yo, bro, like, you at 35, your life could change. At 30, no matter how old you are. But you gotta be able to know what the problems are. You gotta be able to, you know, get the help that you need. And I think a lot of people right now, they're just addicted. They're addicted to sex. They're addicted to drinking. They're addicted to gambling. They're addicted to so many bad things. And I was there, so I know. You know what I mean? And and it's weird. It's like, how does Bitcoin help you with that, bro? It's not that Bitcoin helped me with that. It's more like, because I learned about Bitcoin, I learned about the problems that.
Yeah.
I just learn about everything. You just learn about everything. But I was at a very, very dark place, bro. And I thank God every day that I'm just not there anymore. But I understand and I sympathize with people my age. I know why they're there. And I was there. I know. And I just think that I'm scared for the next 5-10 years, bro. People are not going to have families. They have no proof of work, no proof of life. Like, imagine these women going out, they're just not gonna have kids anymore. You can't have kids at 40 or 45. The risk is too high. It's just like, I think about stuff like that. And unfortunately, you know, learning about Bitcoin, low-key saved my life, man. It saved me in the long term, in my opinion.
Even what you said there, you said you got rich quick, but even that, like, it took you years. Yeah, most people aren't willing to do that, right? Most people just, like, they think, oh, it's going to take too long. Like, when I was doing the CFA, a lot of people were telling me, oh, why are you going to do that? There's no point. You're going to be this old by the time you're done. You can probably just get another job. In that time, you can earn more money and all that stuff. But, like, the years go by. The time goes by no matter what, right? You're gonna stack. People always say to me, I actually had a client today who's 80 years old, and he buys Bitcoin regularly. 80 years old. Legend. And he's consistently buying. He's buying.
Damn,
and
let's go. And
he's like, I don't know how kids your generation just don't get it. They want things to happen quick. And, like, if I can, like he was saying, if I can understand Bitcoin, how can't they understand Bitcoin? He's 80.
Government run schooling.
Like, that's crazy to me. Like, people who are 33 years old, who have been surrounded by technology, or like 30, 40, 20, who have been surrounded by technology their whole lives, they don't understand where Bitcoin can go. And part of it is because of what you were saying there, Lou. Like, they don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put in the effort. They don't have a way to create proof of work. And everything is proof of work. Humans are proof of work, right? We're proof that somebody before us had a relationship with someone else and we were born, right? That's proof of work. And somebody took care of us until this age. Everything is proof of work. Everything that matters is proof of work. But people want proof of stake. They want fiat. They want this Keynesian mindset of whatever it is, like what we talked about in our last show. I'm not going to go into it, but, like, that's what they want to go into. Like, they want quick results. They want a system that's controlled by a small group of people, so that they don't have to take responsibility. And it's just, it leaks into every aspect of your life. Like, when you don't understand how money works, you're probably not going to go deeper into how your food is created, right? You're not going to go into how houses are being built, lower and lower quality over time. It's not because the builders they hate you. It's not like they're trying to take a bigger profit. It's just that the money that they're getting is worth nothing. So they can't put in the same inputs as they could 30 years ago. And you have to pay attention to that. The system is designed to keep you away from understanding that. And it's almost like everything is just masked. And there are band-aid solutions to everything, but nothing gets resolved. Like, we've had problems in the financial system since 2008, and they're carrying on until today because we didn't have a solution. We haven't created a solution for it. The system is still exactly the same. It's just that we keep building on a pile of shit.
Yeah. People don't believe there's a hope, right? Sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thanks. Rajat, first of all, well said. I want to get back to what Lou said, man. First of all, Lou, I commend you, man, for your journey and what you've been doing. You're a young man and you're a successful man. And the thing is, it's not that, and he said it, so I'm going to say it. It's not because he got rich. It's how he got rich, right? He worked hard, and he also knows what's going on with Bitcoin. He is a very, very rare young man to be his age and to doing what he does and knowing what he does. There ain't a lot of people like you out here, man. And I'm going to say this because I have a few things in common with him. I'm from New York as well. Now, I'm not from the city. I'm from Rochester. So we know there's a little difference there. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada right now. And this picture above me, you can't really see it because of QR code. I had this picture in my house for a long time. My grandmother used to go to Las Vegas a lot. And my grandma wasn't the nicest woman in the world, long story short, but she was this picture right there. I had this in my old house in New York. And I had a vision board and all these other things. And I put this picture up because I always wanted to live in Las Vegas. And the reason why is because when my grandma used to go there, she'd come back and she used to be so nice. For like 4 days. She'd be so nice when she got back, right? And I'm like, man, what's up with this place? And I'd see it on TV and all this other stuff. So I moved here in late 2020. I got away from New York because it was just, the stuff going on with the scamdemic. But I want to touch on the gambling thing. The psychology of people here in Las Vegas, Nevada, I cannot explain to you how messed up this system is, man. It's not because people are addicted to gambling, right? And I'll get to that in a second. It's because it's fast money, right? People are struggling out here. They are struggling so bad, and they don't know why. My daughter's husband, my son-in-law, he called me a couple of months ago because he thinks I'm the money guy, and he's basically said, "Hey Jerry, I need a lick. I need a play, man. You got something for me?" And I'm like, he's a black dude. You know how they talk, Luke. And I'm like, I said, yeah, man. And I started going into Bitcoin. He stopped me because he knows how I am. He said, look, man, I don't want to hear that. He said, I don't want to hear it. I need something fast and quick. And I'm just like, and again, this is how everybody thinks. And he's a little older than you, Lou. He's about 32. And I'm just like, I can't change him because people want that money fast because they don't understand the money is broken. Gambling is the toughest addiction in the world to get over. It's worse than drugs. It's worse than sex. And I tell people why. The reason why is because you can use as much drugs as you want, but you can't spend $100,000 on drugs and put it in your system at one time. I know people that bet 50 grand, 100 grand, 25 grand, just like that on their phone at the thing. When you go to the casino, like the fight the other day with the MMA fight that was going on, man, when Conor McGregor did what he did with his leg, people were so hurt, man.
80% of the money line was on him to win.
Yeah. And it messed people's lives up because they were putting their hard-earned energy into that, right? So again, I tell people gambling is a bad addiction, man. And when I walk through these casinos, because I get a lot of deals in the casino, so I walk through and I see people sitting at these machines. And when I see people sitting at the slot machines, and again, these are machines. These are not like, you're not sitting at tables. You are sitting at a machine, putting your energy into a machine, and you're hoping this thing will win. That's what you're hoping for. And when you walk in, they have this big screen, and they'll show you all the people that are winning. They never show you the screen when they're losing. They never show you that screen. They show you, they show you a roll of people. This person won this and this. And what they do is they highlight the people that win. So when somebody wins, they make a bunch of noise and they send people over. You can see the dopamine hit with those things are crazy. The reason I'm bringing that up is simple. The money is broken. If the money was fixed and everybody knew what was going on, nobody be trying to get that big hit. Nobody be trying to get out of that hole that they don't even know they're in. They think it's Trump's fault. They think it's this person's fault. They think it's that person's fault. And I think with a guy like Lou at his age, to show people not just because I got rich, but how the money system is broken. I used to be in that system too. But again, with his generation, and you're the Gen Z?
I'm Gen Z. I'm 1997, so I think that's the last year or first year. I don't even know how that works.
You got your work cut out for you, young man. Okay.
I think I'm Gen Z. I think I'm Gen Z. I could be wrong about that, but I was born in 1997, February 1997, so I should be. I could be wrong.
It's until 96.
Yeah, it's 96, like 96 to 2000 is the bridge. Yeah.
So he's right there.
It depends on where you look. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to be like, yo, I'm Gen Z, and I'm not even Gen Z.
Right. So he's right there. So that they always say the children are our future, and the kids in their 20s and stuff like that. Again, they don't know what's going on. That's why these people are doing degen stuff and gambling online and using these cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is a quote unquote scam. Bitcoin is a quote unquote bad thing. And I'm just like, again, Lou, you're doing God's work, man. And we just got to keep going and teach these people what's going on and get these people away from gambling, because gambling is the worst thing.
Let me say this real quick. Okay, so my father was in the feds. He actually got deported by Trump in 2018 when he came home from prison. He got deported. It's so funny. And then my brother did a lot of Fed time. So, and you know, I grew up. I just hate talking about shit because a lot of people,
go ahead. You good?
No, I hate talking about it because a lot of people. I just see a lot of people try to. They wish they grew up like that. Like I like a lot of people would like. There's like a new movement of people wanting to be autistic for some reason. Oh, I'm autistic today, or like, bro, I don't know if you guys seen that, but like I had ADHD growing up, bro. I never talk about that. I never tell nobody. It's not that I'm ashamed, but I just keep that shit to myself.
We gotta clip that. Greatest line of all time.
Everybody's autistic. Everybody's on the spectrum. Everybody came from the struggle. I do not talk about any of that stuff, bro. If somebody asks me, then I'll talk about it. But I had a father who was in the feds, got deported. You know, my brother was in the feds. I grew up in the Bronx in like the worst neighborhood possible, and I don't care to talk about it. But the reason why I bring it up now is because when I started to learn about Bitcoin and the problems it solves and everything, I would just, you know, you tie everything in. You tie your life. You have this flashback moment as you're learning, and you're like, damn. Oh my God, like the system is that deep. Like we were on welfare for a long time, bro. We were getting everything for free, but it was limited. It was like you get everything you can for free, enough to not want to go get a job, or enough to really want to figure out your life, or figure out a way out. There's a lot of people that I grew up with that are still in the same neighborhood. Like they're still there. And I was just there like in 2021. So like, I go back and I see them and I'm like, damn, like these people are gonna be here for probably forever, for the rest of their lives, bro. And they just don't care. And I'm talking about roaches, rats, bro. It was bad, bro. Like, it was bad. And you know, and the vision board stuff, and you see how he has a picture for me in my room. I had everything I've ever wanted, right? Like manifestation was like extremely, like I saw this. Everything that I'm doing, I saw, like I literally saw, you know. Now I see myself having over 20 Bitcoin. I'm seeing it, you know. We're gonna get there soon, but I just, you start to see these things, you start trying to manifest these things, and I just want to make sure that people, like what I want to represent for people is that you can actually do it. You can. And as cliche as that shit sounds, because I used to be a rebel, bro. I used to be like on, Tism Maxing is so. I just read that comment as I was talking, but bro, like it just becomes oh, man. Like I could have been there. That's why I always look, and I just look at these people like I could have been there, bro. I could have been, you know, one of these socialist boys. I could have been the Tism Maxer, the biggest one. But I just think that it's just stupid. I don't know. I think it's stupid. And, you know, everyone has a sob story. That's another thing I learned about life. Everyone has a sob story. Everyone, even the richest people have sob stories. That's why I just man up and I try to do the best that I can each and every day. But that's the work. I think that's my purpose in this life. I think overall, like that's, I've been asking myself ever since I've been doing YouTube. It's like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I doing? Like, yeah, the views are good, the money's coming in, but what is the purpose? And when I went to the Bitcoin conference, I said, okay, the purpose is to get on that stage one day, get on the stage everywhere as I can, tell people about Bitcoin, tell people. I think Rajat is doing a great job on Instagram. I think tell people about Bitcoin on Instagram, tell people about Bitcoin on TikTok, talk to people about the problems of the world, and, you know, fight against that socialist ideology, because it sounds great on paper and it sounds great right now, but in the long term, it's retarded. And I think that if we go full-blown retarded, I don't know how we get back, bro. I'm going to be honest. And we are humans, bro. We're pretty defiant. We do great things. But I think that that's the purpose. I think what Rajat is doing, what you guys are doing, with George and Brandon. I think Brandon, I see you on the BTC Sessions channel. You guys are doing great. You guys are getting good numbers. Like, I think I think that is great. I think we need that. And yeah, I just think that people just need to learn. I think the way to talk about Bitcoin is the way that, not financially. I think the way to talk about Bitcoin is life, your experiences. Like, what did you go through? Okay, this is what you went through. This is what you learned. How can you be better? I think Bitcoin gets you better at life. I really do. And if more people understood that, but the issues is, XRP, bro, XRP and fucking all this bullshit. People, like, they think that that's the way out. And I think that it messes me up. It just deflates me. It's like, oh God, no, man, I'm not buying Bitcoin. I'm buying XRP, bro. Oh my God, like, we got a lot of work to do, man.
It's so crazy. There are people who are still saying, "Oh, Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to," or no, sorry, not Ethereum. XRP is going to $10,000 a coin. Like, what?
Rajat, I don't know if you saw. I don't know if any of you have seen, but there was a trend about Jesus and XRP. Like, people were tying Jesus to XRP. Like, oh, I had a dream. I'm like, oh, hell nah, man. We are going straight to hell. First class ticket, bro.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy though, because people, like, they I think most people just, they want that quick return, right? They want that quick win. Like, when you look at our title here, Bitcoin was $647 10 years ago.
Woof.
At that time, people were probably like, I'm not waiting 10 years for Bitcoin to go to 10x. I can do this or this or this. And in that time, it 100x'd, right? And maybe it'll do another 100x in the next 20 years. And the same people, or 1000x. Yeah. I mean, it could do anything could happen, right? Like, you could make the case that Bitcoin's going to 1 million in a year. You could also make the case that Bitcoin can go to 1 million in 20 years, right? Either way, like, that's the thing though. Most people just, they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait. It's like what Jerry was saying there. They want that quick win. They want the quick hit, because that's what makes them happy. That's what makes them feel like, oh, I accomplished something. Because everything else is just too hard. It's way too difficult. That's why the five of us, Robin, Forrest, that's why we continue, because we're okay with going through the volatility. I keep talking about it. There's this book called The Dip. I think you guys would love it, but it basically goes through how you have to deal with all of the volatility that comes across your life in literally any aspect of it. And let's say starting a business, if you're playing a video game, if you're playing a sport, you're always going to deal with dips, right? But you have to get through them. Same thing with Bitcoin. You have to get through the dips, but most people just don't want to. They can't. They'd rather focus their energy on things they can't control. Like, I mean, most people want to focus on things like, the stock market is rigged, or you should vote and get this person in office. And that's what they're pushing. That's what their entire life is about. They just don't focus on the things that they can do something about. And that's what's making them lose all their energy, right? They're not focusing their energy on the right things, and they can't succeed because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a reflection of society, and it's definitely intentional. Mm-hmm. Like, they want people to feel worthless. That they spend 12 years of your life in a public education system to tell you that, you're not worth anything. You should be this way. You got to put up your hand to go to the bathroom. They train you from a very early age to believe that you're powerless and that you can't do anything. And it's the system, because the more reliant you are on the system, the less likely you are to revolt against the system. And so it's the whole thing, head to toe, your whole life, you're taught this. And, I think that Bitcoin, unless you have the ability to, Bitcoin isn't just a money to me. Bitcoin is really, I think Lou said Bitcoin saved my life. I agree with that. Like, yeah, I've made a little bit of money off it in fiat terms, but what Bitcoin has provided for me overall in my life, whether it's food or health or relationships, or actually what it means to provide value to society, and the law of the universe, in the sense that you basically only get back what you put into something. We're not taught that shit in school. Imagine if we were. Imagine how much different this world would be, and society would be, if we were actually taught about manifestation, repetition, adding value, providing value, servicing others. We're not, though, because they don't want you to be sovereign. They want you to be a slave and totally dependent on that system. So it checks out. But the hard thing to me is that it's a very uphill fight. We're fighting against a pretty big system there. I do believe that we will win because truth, nature always wins, no matter what in the long term. It's just how fast is it going to come?
I got to go. I just want to say one last thing. I think even if Bitcoin does go to zero, we're all going to be fine because we have the right mindset.
100%.
Like we've built that way of thinking that will make it so that we're okay because we can rely on ourselves. We're self-sovereign. We understand how the world works a little bit better. Maybe we don't understand everything, but we understand the world a little bit better than we did before because of Bitcoin. And it made us look into the truth. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of people just succeeding, even if Bitcoin does fail, which I don't think it will. But if it does, that's going to lead to a lot of people just having the lives that they actually want to live.
Yeah, so
Amen.
true.
Well said.
So true.
Real quick, guys. As we all know, Lindsey Graham just passed away a couple days ago, and he was a big, staunch proponent of the Save America Act. But they've also been talking about the Clarity Act. Do you guys think do we need that for Bitcoin right now, or does it help? What do you guys think?
Clarity Act.
All right, Rajat, it's nice meeting you.
The Clarity Act.
The Clarity Act. I think again, I'm a Bitcoiner only. I don't really give a damn about any of this shit, but I think it provides clarity for the big money institutions and the space as a whole. I can see why it will be good in the long run because there is a lot of money. Allegedly, there's a lot of money on the sidelines waiting for this clarity to go through. So I don't know. I don't know if it matters for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is going to Bitcoin in its 4 years cycle trajectory. I think it's going to do what the fuck it's going to do regardless. But I think for the space and the money and institutional money, I think it matters in the long run, from legitimizing but then again, it's like, what is it legitimizing? I think Bitcoin's been legitimate, right? Like I think Bitcoin is it's a freaking $1.3 trillion asset, all-time high, 2.6 trillion dollars, right? That was the market cap at its all-time high. So I think it's more than legitimate. So I don't know what is legitimizing. I don't know. I think the crypto space is toxic. I think it's terrible. The entire crypto space as a whole. I could see the case for Ethereum. I could see, but I don't know. I don't know. I personally, I don't care, to be honest with you, bro. I don't know if it's good or bad. We shall see. Can they get it done? I know Loomis has been really, really going off. I think Tim Scott's been pushing it as well. But I think a lot of the pushback is from the banks as well. But I think that Democrats would love for that shit not to pass. I think Democrats are going to go to war against crypto. They're going to go to war against Trump and his family. I think on the last day of Trump's presidency, you're going to see like 1,000 pardons because the Democrats are going to be, they're so instilled, to 100% go after Trump and, crypto as a whole. I think we spoke about this last week, how they look at Bitcoin, and bro, they're coming, bro. Elizabeth Warren and all these people, they're coming. And I think the next administration they're not going to come, obviously, or they're going to try to confiscate Trump's Bitcoin. But no, I think that they would love to engage in, giving Bitcoin a bad name again. I think as Democrats always have done. I think there is some Democrats that probably even know what Bitcoin is in the first place. But I think that, the Trump administration, the Trump family as a whole have made, I think the number one stories that you see today, if you look up, Trump has enriched himself through crypto. Trump has enriched himself through Bitcoin. And it's like, fuck, man, we just got set back another freaking 5 years, with this shit. So I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know that in the long run, when Trump is out of office, and I think the Democrats will take power, I'm not sure if they'll win the White House, but I think that they want to avenge this whole crypto dynamic thing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brandon?
No, I mean, the Clarity Act stuff is obviously not needed for Bitcoin. People are saying in the chat, and like what Lou just alluded to, like it's good for the banks, good for the banking system. But this goes back to the greater attack on Bitcoin, which is the changing of a narrative, right? Bitcoin's outside of all of this. It's a protocol outside the system, and it doesn't need anything from the banking system. The banking system might need it. The government might need Bitcoin, but Bitcoin doesn't need it. And this is what's confusing to the average person, the average normie. And again, this goes back to and loops around to what we were saying earlier. Like, patience is the key in all this, but you have to keep fighting at the end of the day, and you have to keep talking. You have to keep making noise. You have to have more people involved. This is where the 3% number comes in. You know, Thomas Paine's common sense. The initial few months was 100,000 people of the 3 million people that were in America. That's 3%. The people that grabbed their musket eventually, it was only a couple percent of people really like actually said, hey, we're doing this. I'm not doing this. We don't need a lot of people, but we need a few more percent of people that are awakened to what's actually happening. And that, you know, a lot of people, yeah, they're going to get rug pulled. They're going to get hurt. They're going to touch the stove. Bad things are going to happen to everyone. Bad things happen to everyone, just in different ways. But we're just going to try to hopefully minimize some of this. And is Bitcoin, you know, part of what this title today, Bitcoin at 647 10 years ago, that you know, people don't think there's hope today, right? So like, people don't want to put in the work because they don't think there's even hope, right? So Bitcoin gives you hope. Number one, you know, Christ gives you hope, but people can't even follow the 10 commandments, right? So we have a really hard problem with that. So now we go to the next level where it kind of goes, you know, money goes across all humans, all 8 billion people. Not everyone believes in Christ. Okay, well, what's the next step? It's the communication layer between all 8 million people is money. And so here we can all talk that. So that's why this medium gets fought over all the time, the money and the money layer. And this is where evil has found a different way, in which, again, because not everyone believes or is a believer or doesn't understand good versus evil, and we're in spiritual warfare on earth, then again, it makes it very hard to talk to a lot of people about what's going on. This is why we see so many problems today. This used to be much more common 50, 60, 80, 100 years ago. You could have deeper conversations with people because they understood the genesis of where the problems emanated from. But if you don't even understand the battle you're in, how the hell can you fight the war? And that's what we're dealing with. This is why Lou and Jerry, what you guys were talking about, and Jordan, some of the other guys, the socialism and communism, that is a satanic mindset, literally. I've heard numerous priests over time talk about, you know, Marxism, you know, and all that. It's a satanic mindset of take from everyone else, take, and redistribute. That was not Jesus Christ. He didn't take from anyone and give, oh, you deserve this, you deserve that. It is completely antithetical. But if we don't understand the roots of life and nature, then we're going to have a very hard time. And this is where we get into this. I want socialism. We got to redistribute all the stuff. I got to take from other people. It's not fair. Life's not fair. Newsflash, life is not fair. God was nailed to a cross. You think life's fair? You think life's going to be better for you all of a sudden? And that's just something that most of us can't admit. And like I said all the time, like, I talk to myself when I'm doing this more than anyone else. This is to beat myself over the head every single day and to remind myself, dude, you're no better than him. You are no better than him. So good luck when you get pissed off at night. And why don't they see what I see? Because you're always going to be persecuted. Truth's always going to be looked down upon. That's not how the world works. But because we can't humble ourselves to that and realize that, we just quit, we give up, we get frustrated, and that's the fight. That's the fight we're here for. We are here purposely to be fighting this. And it's a never ending fight until the guy upstairs says, okay, the fight's over. And that's it. So again, that's so unpopular. It's so unpopular to even talk about. But again, it's the genesis, the root of everything. And if you don't understand that, good luck. I mean, you can sit here and talk all day about second, fifth, 10th order, 100th order effects. And it's just completely moot at the end of the day. And I have no time for it, quite honestly.
It seems like that's shifting a little bit anyways, or maybe it's just my algorithm, but it seems like the whole world's kind of waking up slowly to things going on here. And that was kind of the next point that I wanted to ask you guys. Which is like, I know we're talking about the Clarity Act and government and all these things, but earlier in the stream, we asked the question of, did Satoshi intentionally line up the halvings to presidential elections? I mean, when you guys think about it from your own perspective, is there any chance that you guys ever regain trust in government again?
I do. I think so. And I'll just say really quick.
Like federally?
Yeah, I think so, but it's got to be on a sound money standard. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be on a bedrock, whatever system it is. It's got to be on a bedrock of sound money. You can't, like, again, it goes back to the Bible. If you build your house on sand, well, this is what we've done. It's going to collapse. Yeah. So to me, yes, I could and I would if it was built on a different bedrock.
If you could verify them, essentially.
You could verify. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
if you, to me, because where I'm going with this is like, I really believe that Bitcoin as it is today, we're currently in the middle of a war, BIP 110 versus everybody else. And to me, that's very much representative of like Democrats versus Republicans, where you can vote with your economic node. I really see in the future this becoming the new political system. And I think that Satoshi did a lot of things with intention. I think that the very first Genesis block, he put Chancellor on the brink of second bailout, basically to say we're separating money from state. That's number one. Number two, he put in the op return that message, which means, hey, if you want to carry a message forward into the future, you can use this little op return feature here. And three, he didn't actually take that 50 Bitcoin that he mined in Genesis block. He made it unspendable. So he almost said every single one of these units we call Satoshis are going to be fair from day one. But also there's more to it. Like if it aligned with the 4-year election, maybe that was Satoshi's way of saying, hey, this Bitcoin network here, the way it works, decentralized, not reliant on humans, maybe it could actually replace what we have as a system right now. Like, to me, there's no reason why we have a federal government anymore. It was useful at a point to take resources and allocate them accordingly. But everybody, as people wake up in this awakening right now, they're not trusting governments anymore because they've done so much to people that it's like no going back. For me anyways, I'm surprised you said that, Brandon, honestly, but I mean, I get it. But I just think that without everything before 2009, before that Genesis block, we have no way to verify. And I think that that's what people want now. They want transparency. They're seeking truth. They want verification. Bitcoin provides all that. Why do we need government anymore? I don't know if it'll happen, but like, I do see a future where we don't have elections as they are today federally every 4 years. It's actually policies. So if somebody wanted to introduce this new update to Bitcoin that doubles the supply and gives half of it to this cause, and people vote on it, what's the difference between that and our current government, other than we can see everything in this network and we see nothing in the current system?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think on that?
We should I think, man, I think it was Hunter Biden that actually said this. He said we should vote on the blockchain. Like we should have like, like proof of vote or something like that. I think he brought that up. But
that's what this is, Lou. That's
no,
that's
what
you're doing right now. If you run a node, that's your vote. Because I used to think the same thing. I'm like, why don't we just put the votes on the blockchain so nobody can change it, nobody can manipulate it? But like that's what's happening right now. When you vote for one of these implementations, that's essentially the same thing but the difference is you can't you can't fake the other way either, but you have to have some sort of economic power in there to have your vote count, I guess, which is different than what we have now, where, we have mail-in ballots, we have fake ballots coming in. Yeah, we have votes being counted twice. It's not visible to anybody. And also the people who are voting in that system come from different ways of life. A lot of people are providing to the system. A lot of people are just extracting from the system. Why should they have equal votes? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I mean,
it goes back to like the land analogy where you used to have to own land to vote. That makes sense because you have skin in the game. You've provided enough to society to have this physical land that you have a vote to say on how we go forward here. But if you're just somebody who takes from the system, of course you're going to vote for the system to give you more. Like that's direct incentive of the current system. And so we just keep voting for things because there's more people taking than giving right now. That's why society is the way it is right now. So I always kind of came from the same thing that you were talking about there, Lou, is like, why couldn't we put our votes on the blockchain? Because they can't be manipulated. But this system, it's actually a brand new system that is Bitcoin, where you have policy options, just like we have today. You have bills, you have policies, people vote on that, except these votes actually have energy behind it. Proof. They have proof behind that because you can't vote. You could spin up 10,000 nodes. To me, that's the equivalent of mail-in ballots. Because you say, I can just buy a whole bunch of nodes, spin them up and point it towards this implementation. Well, that's like mail-in ballots. And it doesn't count in Bitcoin because there's no economic power behind that vote. So I just think that it makes sense. It sounds like a crazy concept, but I think it just makes a lot of sense. So usually, like we've been talking about, truth wins, nature wins, things that make sense and are efficient usually win over time.
Yeah. I mean, they do. I come from the different angle of there's going to be, I remember years ago thinking of, yes, on the block. There's people building that right now too, by the way. They're not building on Bitcoin. I don't know how you would put that on Bitcoin and have it on the time chain. Now we get into the whole spam thing. We get into all of that and blowing the blockchain or time chain. I don't know how we do that. I don't know how that's solved. I think there is some way that ends up being done. Paper ballots, at least look like to be the best thing, the easiest thing to do, actually, ironically, with all this. But I digress. I think there's nuance to it, Jor, and there's, unfortunately, this goes back to the timeline thing of, like, in the long run, I think maybe 100 years from now, or it's 1,000 years from now, like, hopefully we do get to a place like that. Like, I've gone down the rabbit hole numerous times, what Elon Musk said a few months ago, of we don't even have money someday. But then you start going up the chain, because infinite energy, and energy is so like, we all have small, SMR, or small reactors in our house or around us or whatever. So, like, we all have infinite energy, and if everything is in essence free, I think society maybe gets to a point like that where, like, what are we fighting over? I just don't know when that happens. And so that the whole bridge of getting from here to there, I don't know. Now, going back to the founding fathers, and I think you and I might have talked about this yesterday, this is where, if we had a new continent where Thomas Paine, these guys were actually writing about, like, what should we do? Like, what system should we give ourselves? It's a republic if you can keep it. If we had that ability, if we went to Mars and into a new place, then yeah, I agree. I think maybe you could, hey, we're on the Bitcoin, we're doing this, and but at some point, it's just, because we can't follow the 10 commandments, now we have to start going down the pecking order of, there's got to be some type of governing rules. And this is where I'll fight with my anarchist buddies of, when you have, and I'm not saying that you advocate for anarchy, but when there is government trying to organize things, it's just, or no one trying organizing anything. It's just the biggest, baddest guy, democracy, mob rule, or Genghis Khan comes in and says, well, hey, I'm bigger than you, and this is what's going to happen. What are you going to do about it? That, to me, is where you have to have some semblance of, I don't know, everyone having firearms, there's going to be some type of rule of law, or some type of system that keeps a checks and balances. That, to me, is, and it's a great conversation, because, again, I don't know what the right answer is, because this is a future system. And this is what's hard for Bitcoiners, because we're talking about the future. We live in the present. We talk about the future constantly, and this is what makes it very difficult for all of us to live. And this is what makes it very difficult for a lot of people to resonate and relate to us, because they're like, dude, you guys are psychopaths. Like, what are you talking about? So yes, it's like, yeah, I mean, how do we bridge this, right? So, like, that's, and the federal government thing, I would trust them in that sense, like, in that world. If it was maybe more localized, maybe not, federal is not the right answer, but I think the nation states, I think things break up over time too. If we're talking on 100-year, 1,000-year timeline, absolutely. The nation states, all these things go decentralized more and more and more, locales, the 50 states, that type of generation, or that type of institution, where we had 50 countries, they unified under one federal constitution to say, hey, here's some limited powers of this overarching government. They're supposed to protect the borders, keep things safe. That's about it. There's a couple of things, but that's it. So, again, I don't know how we get from here to there, Jor. It's obviously very nuanced. So,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing for me is, like, I'm not sitting here waiting for that system to tell us that there's a new system called Bitcoin. I'm thinking this is just something that kind of naturally evolves through time, of distrust, of elections that aren't accurate, of governments continuously lying, and not even lying anymore. Like, here in Canada, we have people on the streets, homeless, addicted to drugs, freezing to death, stealing. Crime rates are up, mass immigration coming in here, and we're sending $90 million or $900 million to Ukraine. Like, at some point, people are just like, okay, that's enough. Like, I'm done with this. And I just don't see them ever going back into that system once they leave it. And I think that Bitcoin is the only fair chance that we have to actually push this thing forward. But I'm not relying on, like, the Republican Party to write a bill that says now we vote on Bitcoin. It's just that everything that they have has turned to shit. The real value, they have nothing left of that. And the people are like, hey, here's a system. And again, it's not even us really announcing that. It's just like us running nodes and voting on the implementation, the policy that we want. And it just turns into something that resembles today, except with 100% transparency.
You need power, though, right? So that's the whole, and I think you and I talked about this too. This is where Bitcoin, that's why thank you for saying this, because I was bringing back the title of the show, which is Bitcoin is $647 10 years ago. And in 10 years from now, it'll probably be $6,047,000 US. And so someone might ask, well, how the hell do you know that? You can't just look at the past. Well, all you have to know is two things. If Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, which we know is the most secure computer network protocol to ever exist in human, it's the most secure, smallest attack surface asset protocol on Earth. So everyone can agree with that. Boom. We know governments will print, they have to, it's a debt-based system forever. So I know, therefore, humanity, the truth will prevail. Humanity will keep coming to Bitcoin over time. So that's how we know that, number one. Just to bring it back to the beginning of the show. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, like Lou mentioned, and Jerry was talking about too, getting wealthy over time. There's no better persuasion than someone getting wealthy and being like, hey, look at the shit I just did. Look what I did. Look how I changed myself and became a better person. I got wealthier. Oh, it's Bitcoin that helped me do this too, X, Y, Z. And then those Bitcoiners acquiring more legacy assets, getting into politics. This is where the libertarian, a lot of Bitcoiners get it completely wrong. They run away from politics. They go into the corn stalks and disappear like it's Field of Dreams, like I've said 100 times. And then they are governed by their inferiors, and they wonder why things have burned down. It's like, well, the good people left. The libertarians left. The Republic, the people that are disenfranchised, they're gone. Good luck. And that's why I brought up Mandami earlier in the primary that just happened, because 10% of the people voted. Well, how the hell are you going to sit there and complain and bitch and moan when all your taxes are being taken away and we're sending money to Ukraine when no one's voting? I mean, it's so batshit crazy. Overwhelm the system. Make it known. Go run for office. And this then is now dovetails with Bitcoiners having power. We know, like we said, bullet point number one, Bitcoin will go up in USD over time. You'll get more wealthy, more purchasing power over time as a Bitcoiner. And we know, like Lou was saying earlier, we were saying about communism, and Jerry was talking about this as well. We know the communists, they aren't repopulating and they don't want Bitcoin, because Trump did us a favor by getting into Bitcoin. So they just weeded themselves out. Darwin said, see ya. And so now over time, that patience is key. So this is all the pillars coming back into one thing now. All the things we've been talking about, boom, over time. To George's point, this will happen because the Bitcoiners will have more power. The other people weed themselves out. And now guess what? The Bitcoiners say, fuck all of you. We're building a new system, bitch. This is a new system. It doesn't matter. And then there you go. So I don't know when that happens, next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, but it's happening.
Yeah, I'd give it, I'd give it like around 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I think so too. I think mid to late 2030s. Yeah.
Yeah. I think down the line, it'll just be, I think people will realize that too. I think what Brandon is saying is correct. Like, I think you have to participate. You have to, because you don't, like, to be governed by your inferiors is a real thing. Like, it's a real thing. Like, no matter what, it's going to happen. You don't have the power to stop it. Like, you don't have the weaponry, you don't have the soldiers. It will have to be a revolution. But in order for you to have a revolution, you could have a silent one, but you're most likely not going to be successful doing it physically, because it's the United States government. So, but the beauty behind the United States government is that it looks like you can elect somebody like Trump, which I thought he wasn't. Like, at some point, I'm like, oh, okay, there's a lot of people that are Bitcoiners that, want to vote. This guy he's gone on stage to talk about this. He actually went to the freaking Libertarian party and spoke at the Libertarian. It got booed, and actually talked there, and he took the boos like it was nothing. I think Dave Smith hosted that or whatever, and so the point I'm making is that, I don't think voting matters in a lot of ways, but I think voting matters in many different ways. And I know that can sound confusing, but if I don't want sex changes for little boys and little girls, then I'd vote for Trump. If I want less censorship from the government and less interference from the government on what I can talk about on these platforms, then I would have to vote for Trump. I know he would sign an executive order for it. If I want, less crime, or if I know about immigration because a lot of my family members are immigrants, then I'd vote for Trump, because he's actually trying to enforce the law at the border. And we see Mexico now trying to enforce their borders on people coming up to their borders. So I do think it matters in certain levels and points. Financially, we don't even get to vote on the Federal Reserve because it's its own entity. I think that the government aspect of things, if you want personal things for like your family, pro-family legislation, then I think that voting for Trump would have been the right decision, right? But unfortunately, when it comes to everything else, like the personal and the feelings and how he talks and how he does it, and he's a racist, he's this, he's that, then I think that a lot of people probably won't vote for him. They'll probably vote for something else. But even if Trump or anybody in our political system, however we think about them emotionally, we still got to look at policy and how is that going to affect my family in the short and long term. And so I think that matters then. Now, to George's point, I think that, you know, there has to be some type of change. There has to be something to, you know, to battle this, especially, you know, like I think the Save America Act, a lot of people think is bad. Bro, we don't even know who votes in our elections. Like, we really don't. We have no idea. That's something that I've been talking about on the channel. There's a lot of different, like, we have the vote by mail thing is so crazy to me because everybody gets a vote by mail in California. Why does everybody get one? It should only be for disabled, if you're in the military, if you're going away. Like, we should 100% stop doing that. Right?
The
Like,
whole thing's fake. That's why.
exactly.
Like,
Right?
Move from Cali.
You can make the case. You can make the case that there is a party in the United States of America that wants to win so bad that they don't care who votes. They just want those votes. And so
they want people standing up. I mean, like, let's be real. Like, there's just not enough people that give a shit. Like, let's be really honest with it, right? Not that you're not, Lou, but like, people don't want to admit the obvious, right? Like, people don't give a shit that much. That's what's really wild. People say they care, but they really don't. We're not at that point yet.
I think there's so many different moving pieces right now in many different states. We got to remember we are a nation of 330 million. I don't know, north to 400 million. I don't know. That's a lot of freaking people, right? It's not a billion, but it's a lot of freaking people. And plus illegal, legal immigrants. We don't know what's going on in reality. It's a huge nation, right? And I think that we are trying our best. A lot of us are trying our best in their own ways. Here's what I mean by that. And I think this is the dangerous part. The people in New York City that voted for Mamdani, they think that in their world, they're doing the right thing.
Yep.
And I think that that's what a lot of people don't understand, because we look at them as cynical. What the hell are you voting for? Have you not read a history book? Do you not know about Lenin, Marxism? Like, what are you doing? But in their minds, they think that they're doing the right thing. They think that the reason why communism never worked in Cuba is because the American system stopped it. We ruined it. We did it, right? The Castro's grandchildren are rich as fuck, but the rest of the country is not. But it's our fault. We did that. So I think that that's the battle. It's that people think in their world they're doing good.
Yeah.
That they in their world, Mamdani thinks he's doing great. There's people that think he is killing it. Right. So I think that that's the dangerous aspect of the United States of America, is that some people think that they're actually fighting for freedom.
Scott Adams used to talk about that all the time, right? People think it's good versus evil, and it's good versus good. Like, both sides think they're on the good team. And that's what you have to be very careful of, right? And like, which should bring the fever pitch down. And that's what's scary, where like we mudsling and it's like, dude, both sides think they're good. This is where education is so important.
Yeah, and I think the problem is, and you guys hit it right on the head, it's all about perspective and where you're coming from. But people generally don't understand what's going on. And I do think voting is important. Lou talks about moving back to New York City. And when he says that, it kind of makes me cringe. I'm like, well, we got to change New York City first, bro.
No, I said move to New York, not New York
City. Outside, yeah. And look, yeah, I'm from New York too, man. And I dread even going back just to visit. We have to change how people think, man, unfortunately. And
yeah, but to interrupt you real quick, right? Yeah. That's the thing. I never wanted to leave New York City. One of the main reasons why I left is for tax purposes, and I just don't think they reward success. They don't. They take everything away from you. Imagine somebody who comes from nothing and now has something, and that something is now being taken away. Like, that's how I feel, right? I'm not a super rich guy to the point where I can have all these, exploit all these tax loopholes. Let's just say I'm a sole proprietor or whatever. I don't get to keep my wealth in New York City because they take that shit from you. So in my opinion, if I could have it my way, I would never leave New York City. I would be the guy trying to change it or trying to battle and fight for it. But the main reason I left is because my family, and I can provide a better life here in Texas. But the overall goal is to, okay, perfect example of this is Iran. A lot of people fled Iran, a lot, right? A lot of the Christians, a lot of the people who weren't part of the, who weren't IRGC apologists, who weren't the first Khomeini versus the Khomeini that just died, right? They were Reza Pahlavi, whatever his name is, Pahlavi. They were that type of Iranian. But you got to understand, like, a lot of these Iranians left. A lot of the Iranians calling for the Iranians in Iran today to go up in arms. Like when Trump sat there and he said, Iranians, this is your time to fight back. Who was he talking to? Because most of those people left. You're talking to a whole bunch of IRGC apologists in Iran. They're not going to fight back. They're not. Where Mark Levin gets on air and he's like, we have to arm the Iranians. Who? They're not there anymore. That's
they're
like
here. Yeah.
They're in New York City. They're in Canada. They're in Australia. They're everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I think
that's by David's one, right? That's a great example.
He's the main Iranian. He's the main Iranian guy.
Yep.
So I think that I think it's you know, I'm not saying it to make light of it, but it does feel like to me that there are a lot of Iranians out there, but I'm not sure what the percentage is. I think the percentage of Christians there is like 0.1 or less, right? It's like the Iranians that would love to fight back, they're not there anymore. They already fled. So the New Yorkers that were going to fight for New York, they already left, right? And it's vice versa, because we have a problem in Texas now where a lot of the people that are fleeing from a blue state, they're fucking coming with the blue shit here. And this state last election was like, it looked like it was 60-40, but then when you start look, it was a little closer. From like the blue got a lot better. And I'm like, well, you're fleeing a state because you hate these policies and his taxes, but you're coming with the same mentality. So
exactly. And then they got James Teller Frico coming, doing his thing. Is he going to win in Texas? Sorry, guys.
I think he has a huge chance. I think he has a huge chance. We got a Democratic Senate. That'll be the first time in I don't even know how many years out here. But yeah, I just think that politics is all fucked up. It's terrible. But I think it's important for specific issues. And I think censorship was one. I think children and transgender shit is another. But after that, I'm not sure how important it gets.
Well, here's what I think. I talk about this on my channel all the time. I do think politics, U.S. politics in particular, are very important to Bitcoin. And the reason why is, and you know, I don't want to get in the Democrat Republican thing, but there is one side of the aisle that a lot of their voters are being lied to. Okay, they're just being lied to. And I think if we want people to get into Bitcoin, again, I'm not saying Bitcoin needs the Clarity Act to win. I'm not saying that. Okay, I think it helps adoption. But here's what I think, though. I think that if people understood that they've been lied to, right? Because there was a centralized media when we grew up: ABC, CBS, NBC.
Walter Cronkite, right? Baby.
What? Where's your nicknames?
ABC, CBS, NBC, nothing but crap. Now we got CNN, the Clown News Network, the Crime News Network, the Cancel Now News Network, the Clinton News Network.
Oh, that's a 90s one right there. Clinton News Network.
The Communist News Network. Then you got MSDNC, MSB, BS Now. You know, you got all these state-sponsored television
CBC,
programs.
BBC. Oh,
right.
Wow.
So they're constantly.
Yeah, I think the BBC stands for something else, though.
Yeah, I think it does too. and so they're constantly, when Biden did something, it's transitory. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's cheap fakes. It's this. But every time Trump does things that they want them to do, like end this and do this and attack this and attack that, oh, it's bad because Trump did it. But the problem is, the reason why we want the right administration, and again, I'm not saying Republicans are good. I am not a Republican. I come from America first. I'm God, family, country, Bitcoin, in that order. So if you look at the country and say, okay, well,
speak American, not English, country? By the way.
Yes. Trump just changed that too.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if we want Bitcoin adoption, we need policies. Bitcoin is ran by people. It is money of, for, and by the people, like our government is supposed to be. It's a little bit too big. You saw what they did with Elon Musk and Doge. They chewed him up and spit him out, right? But we need the correct. I'm not saying we need the policies, but in order for us to get laws into Congress, because again, we quote unquote have the power right now, quote unquote. Even though Republicans all the time are not America first, we do. You know, Republicans right now have the House, the Senate, the executive branch, and allegedly the judicial branch. So we need these legislations and these policies that are Bitcoin friendly, because again, we have the biggest reserve in the world for America, right? I want a system that's built on top of Satoshis. That's what I want. So in order to do that, and I heard too, I don't know if you guys heard this. Did you hear that the U.S. government moved some Bitcoin over to Coinbase yesterday? I don't know what that was all about.
I saw that. It could be two things. It could be that they're freaking going to sell, or that's for the Bitcoin strategic reserve. I don't know.
Exactly. So I don't know what they're doing, but what Trump did to me, and I say this all the time, Trump is our first Bitcoin president. He is. I think he's going to go down in history. Now, is he a Bitcoin maxi? Is he crazy with it? I don't know. I think Trump is a very, very smart man, and I think he understands Bitcoin better than what he's letting on. I think Trump, with the stopping of the bleeding, aka I'm not selling any more Bitcoin. That's the number one thing he did when he came in for Bitcoin. That is, he freed Ross. He stopped Bitcoin from being sold. He separated Bitcoin in the strategic reserve versus the crypto, because he's not buying any more crypto. He said, I don't know if he's buying Bitcoin. I'd like to see proof of reserves of that. But he's saying, hey, we're going to get the strategic Bitcoin reserve through Congress and passed into law. I think if we get the Clarity Act passed into law, we do not want Democrats into power again. And again, you saw what happened to the wallet of Satoshi. You saw what happened to the people from Samurai Wallet. You see what these people will do. They'll stop you from mining. They'll ban custody. I'm not saying they can stop Bitcoin. They can't stop the network. But Texas, your state, Lou, we're one of the biggest, miners in the world. I think a third of the mining comes from the United States, and a big portion of that is from Texas. What if James Telefrico or Elon AOC comes in power? You think they're going to say, hey, let's keep mining going? You think they're going to say, hey, let's do? No. James Telefrico is going to be like, no, we need to stop that because men can do, women can do what men can do and all this other stuff. They're going to stop that. So again, I'm not saying Bitcoin needs politics. We need the Clarity Act, but it'll make it a lot better if we.
It would.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not arguing that. Yeah, it would.
Yeah. We need we need freedom in this country. The Democrat Party is against freedom. Okay, that's why the Chinese Party and the Democrat Party line up perfectly, because they're part of the anti-freedom.
And the socialists want to say in that too, Jerry. The socialists want in. The DCA, the DSA said we want in.
The Democrat Party is not the
DSA and Democrats. That they're not the same thing.
It's going to be good, right? It's going to be good though. I mean, this contrast is huge for people to see.
We just need to get back to common sense and say, okay, what's best for the country? What's best for freedom? What's best for people's personal sovereignty? Right now, I'm not saying Trump is perfect. I agree with Trump about 80% of the time. I'm not with a lot of the stuff he's doing, but again, we just need to come back to common sense. Period.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other part about the Clarity Act. The one thing that I think that is important about the Clarity Act is I forget what it is called now. Jory, you might know, the BCA or BRC, the software developer. There's something that they jammed in there about the software developers, and I think the Bill and Keone and stuff like that. That's in there about protecting that. So that's an important thing just on its face. That we have to continue fighting. Obviously, is that base level first principle stuff, because that's the big thing. But it's tough too, because as bad as like a Joe Biden, like an auto pen is for in a lot of regards, there's also like when you take a president off of Twitter, which again is unheard of. We've talked about this, right? But it also necessity is a mother of all invention. And unfortunately, like that's when people get off their ass and do things. Like we sit here every day and yell about stuff, and not a lot of people do anything. And then all of a sudden, people have their freedoms. And now, how COVID didn't wake up more people and people getting welded into their homes, that's beyond me. But that was just the first step. Then you have people getting demonetized or people getting kicked off things. And so now we have Nostr. Now you have, the Parler thing got taken out of the app stores. And then Truth Social came out. And we talked about the node stuff. Like the more decentralization we have, the more implementations, the more versions there are for people to go somewhere, the better. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, humans we need to touch the stove. We need to wait. We just wait until dumb shit happens. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, I guess we need to like figure this out. I guess that's what's frustrating. It's frustrating for us. Like every, day you show up and you do this stuff and you're getting frustrated because it's here. Someone says, well, why didn't someone tell us? Well, how could we have seen this? And it's like, well, there's a lot of people that we were bitching and yelling about for 40 years or 4 years or for the last 4 months, and no one did anything. So I think that's what's frustrating. That's what's frustrating for me, at least.
And can you imagine if Elon Musk didn't buy X?
Oh, that was the other thing. Thank you. I knew I was missing something. My goodness.
Yeah, that was a big moment in our history. I think as a country, especially moving forward, him buying X. Let me ask you guys a question. I'm seeing this I'm seeing this New York Post. I think I'm going to do a video on this of Zoran, of the dramatic exodus of millionaires and billionaires, and causing nearly like an $11 billion loss in tax revenue. At what point does the middle class and everybody realize that once they run out of billionaires and whatever millionaires to tax, that they're going to be the last resort to get fucked? Like, bro, that is a very dangerous game, because you need money. Like you have to have right. So what he's trying to do, obviously I have to go through the state as well, but they want to tax the rich, or they want to do these things, but they need money to do it anyways. Where are you going to get the money? $11 billion in lost tax revenue, and then a lot of people aren't paying their rents there, and a lot of people aren't even paying taxes in New York because of him becoming mayor. And the enforcements are going to be, what are they going to do, right? Like, it would have to be up to the mayor. It would have to be up to the governor as well to really enforce, go into people's homes and try. I don't know. I think it's a crazy, silly game being played.
Anyone in New York have firearms anymore? Or are they all? They're like, you guys do gun buyback programs? They get rid of them all there.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's going on. But I didn't see this stuff imploding this fast, but
it wakes people up.
It has to.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to
nowhere
implode.
Else to go.
Yes. And you have to embrace it. And this is where I think, like, again, coming full circle with all this, the vibes, the energy, us talking about these things, leading, so many Bitcoiners are whatever, they create content, they write books, they do podcasts, everyone, the four of us here, all the people in the chat, just being that contrast up against society, saying, hey, we have a hope for the future. We have a vision. This is where things are going and headed. And then the contrast of everything falling apart, which is going to keep doing the printing, all that's going to keep happening, that you have to print right through all this. And it's going to speed up even more. We are at the exponential part of the debt curve. So it's going to speed up. It's going to get crazier. And like, we want to stop it. I know, me personally, I'm speaking for me. Like, I want it to stop. I'm sure you guys do too. That's why we're here. Otherwise we wouldn't be. Like, I would just like go into the field of dreams and just be invisible, like some people do. And I didn't care about other people, but I do. I just, unfortunately, I care about what happens to the people around me. And it's just like, you want to stave that off, but unfortunately, it has to happen. It's got to implode. And we're there to be the ship, the life raft off the Titanic, and scoop people out of the water as they're jumping off. Like, that is our job in life. And so we have to embrace it.
Yeah. I wanted to read this real quick. Brandon, I think you're correct on that. I think, again, going into the field, by the way, shout out to the Field of Dreams. But this is what somebody's that's a Field of Dreams. I don't know if you've seen the baseball game between the Yankees and the White Sox there. It was great. I think that's the Field of Dreams you're talking about. They have
the movie, and then they did it. Yeah.
So they have like this. I think every year they do a game there. Oh, those games are magical.
So
but I'm a huge baseball guy. I played at a high level, but didn't make it. I didn't make it. I got some friends in the MLB though. I got about 4 friends in the MLB. But anyways.
You're doing your calling though now. You're doing more important work now.
I hope so, man. I hope so. So this was the rebuttal. So the post, the reason why I'm showing this is because, all right, so we see that there is New York City's dramatic exodus. So this is the headline coming from New York Post. Somebody's rebuttal, I always look at rebuttals here. Somebody's rebuttal and comment was, the study released Monday by the Citizen Budget Commission showed that the Empire State's share of the nation's millionaires dipped from 12% to 8% between 2010 and 2022. Basically saying that this has nothing to do with Mamdani, it's already happening. But they don't get it. New York City has been under mayoral control for how many fucking years, right? I mean, during Democratic mayoral control, right?
Yeah.
The Democrats. So you're basically making the point exact is that, okay, let's just remove Mamdani and socialism. New York City has been losing millionaires for a very long time because of its policies. Like the whole entire city is run by Democrats. There's not even one Republican fucking seat. Like it's all literally Democrats. It's just now you have an extreme Democrat who at this point, is freezing rents. He's doing all these things literally in the name of communism.
Eric Adams looks sane right now, Lou.
But Eric Adams was terrible. He was bad. Like, these people were so bad. Like, they were bad. They were bad, bro. They're terrible. Policy wise, they were just bad. And so they just went from bad to like 10 times worse. And I thought, I was like, well, you're showing this as if it's supposed to prove a point. The whole Democratic control scenario. Oh shit. Hang in there.
Hang in there, it gets worse. That's what we just said, right? There you go. Hang in there, it gets worse. Buckle up. Hope you got
if any guys you were wondering why we're talking about this, because this is the biggest city, most populated city in the country, and this is about economics, and we're Bitcoiners, right? This is the economy, man. We're the biggest financial institution in the world, New York City, and look what they voted for and look what they got. You think these people are going to be Bitcoiners?
Let me make this point. Let me make this point though. Republicans are also bad, right? So I don't want anybody to think that like, oh, this guy he's dunking on Mamdani. First of all, I think Democrats have their own problems. Like, I think they have their own problems in their own party, right? They have the Hakeem Jeffries party leaders, they have the Chuck Schumers of the world, and they have the AOCs, and they have so there's like a political revolution happening in their own party. But I think that when it comes to the Republicans, they're just as bad. Like, all these people are going to spend, they're going to push the spend, they're going to push. Trump is spending. The debt under Trump started like how much? Jerry, you're a professional at this. Under Trump, I don't know what the debt was in 2024, but I know that
he has closed the gap though between the spending and the earning. He's increased our revenue a little bit, and the spending has slowed down. He has spent, but a lot of that stuff ain't his fault though either. He does spend a lot.
But that's the thing. He's going to have to spend no matter what. Like, you have to spend. Like, this the whole debasement trade. It's that you spend and you go into more debt. Like, that's it. Like, no one is going to fix this. Like, no one, unless, like, I think Saifuddin Amos, I think, is one of the most important voices in the space. Saifuddin Amos said that the only way that he'll become bearish on Bitcoin was that if, our government and the Federal Reserve become hawkish and they actually tighten up. They stop printing and they let everything crash and they reset the system. They're never going to do it. Nobody wants the system to crash from their hands. Think about the stock market, right? The stock market is designed to go up forever. But why? Why is the stock market supposed to go up forever? That's retarded. I've never heard of that. But the only reason that happens is because of infinite money printing. And the debasement trade is a real thing. And people participate in that. Now, because of Kevin Warsh coming in, there's some people that are like, oh, well, when the Fed becomes hawkish, it's bearish for all risk assets and assets, period, right? Because a hawkish, if you tighten up the money supply and you stop printing, it'll be great. Like, that's great. That's a great thing. It might not be great for Bitcoiners. It might not be great for everyone, but I think you're trying to fix the money. I think that's great, but it's never going to happen because the whole system is designed to never happen. Everything crashes. Like, everything is going to crash. Real estate will crash. The stock market is going to crash. And Trump would 100% revolt. Like, he will drop a bomb on somebody's head in the United States of America before that happens. And can
you guys share my screen real quick while he's talking? I want to show this.
Go ahead. I'll take mine out. Well, George, he's doing a great job.
Nice work, George.
Okay, go ahead, Lou.
No, that's it. I was just saying, like, that their job is just to keep the debasement trade alive, to keep printing, and unfortunately they can't stop, right? That's just it just is what it is. And that's where we're at. And the only way that, again, like Saifuddin Amos, he wrote the Bitcoin Standard. I think he wrote another book not too long ago. He's great. I think that one of the most important voices, but I think he made a great point. He was debating Peter Schiff, and there you go. So he was debating Peter Schiff, and Peter Schiff asked him, like, what would happen for you to be bearish on Bitcoin? And he told him the truth. He said, the Federal Reserve becoming, or trying to,
getting rid of the Federal Reserve is really, and the government not printing.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all these things. I'm just saying these things because I know it's never going to happen. Like, this whole Kevin Warsh becoming hawkish and talking about, we're gonna do a task force for all of this stuff.
He's the next Volcker. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, stop the cap, bro. You're gonna cut rates. Like, we already have the betting markets are pricing in cutting rates in November. Like, bro, you're gonna cut rates, bro. That's what you're gonna do. Like, you're gonna do your job. Like, you're not there to make the money better. You're there to continue on this trade and try to do your best. Like, I don't know, like, show face. But at the end of the day, it just is what it is.
To your point, Lou, I mean, that's why they're Warsh and these guys and Besson are talking about devising new metrics, focusing on new metrics, because the old metrics are the Keynesian way of looking at things, the modern monetary theory of the demand side and trying to crush demand. Then we're trying to spur demand, and they're just moving the rates around and stuff like that. They're going to the supply side, so I don't know if you want to call it supply side economics, but they're going to, hey, how can we produce more things? The housing, how can we bring housing down by unleashing?
But that takes a long time when you do supply
side.
It
takes time,
and that's the problem. Everybody wants things fast, and
Correct.
they don't want. And I love what Trump's
doing.
Up against manufacturing
it.
takes a long
They're
time.
Up against it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bold move. I mean, it's the only thing. It's the real move to make, but it's bold because, and we've said this about the war stuff too. In the Hamilton Clay system, the American system from 200 years ago, that's the system that's being unearthed. We've talked about it numerous times, and just the last 6 months is really when I started putting it together and seeing it too, because they all talk about it, but no one pays attention to it. You almost don't hear it anywhere. I mean, no one says it. It's just like the words go right through people's head, and they don't hear it and then go look back and say, what was the American system? What was the Hamilton system, the Clay system? And so people just don't want to hear it. But that's the world we're in, is how can we produce more energy? And so that it's the whole thing of like, the system started, the toothpaste out of the tube to me. That's what I've been joking. Trump's the exposer in chief. He exposed the media in 2016. He exposed the elections in 2020. And now he's exposing the British crown in 2024 to 2026 here. That's the East India Company, the last 400 years of central banking, the shipping, the Lloyds of London, the Brent crude, LIBOR, all the city of London controlling all of the underlying structure of this. Well, you can do whatever the hell you want, but they're the ones, running NATO, doing all that. We just see us going around the world, fighting everyone's battles, doing everything for the last 100 years, post World War I. Well, here we are. We're fighting. We have not stopped fighting 1776, and we have not stopped fighting World War I, World War II, and it's the end of that era. And they've exposed it, but they're not. To your point, Jerry, they're not going to be the ones to finish it. Like, Trump's 80 years old. Yeah, there you go. And that's a system that's being exposed now, that so many people are starting to slowly wake up to, because this battle will take a while, and it's going to take time. And if you're out of the battle, then yeah, you're just going to be stuck in this communist system of, okay, I guess we're a city of London, will just keep raking us over the coals just like they have for 400 years, and central banking and Yahoo, fiat currencies, and give me the Democratic Socialist America. So which way?
Exactly. And to both you guys' point, this is what we're fighting against right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the money supply in America. Okay. Now it's measured by billions. So when you see, now I was born in 1975. So the first time we went to 1,000 billion was towards the end of that year. So that's when we did it. Now, as these numbers go up and you see the gray shades here, these are the recessions in America. Okay. Every time there's a gray shade, there's a recession in America. Have you noticed something? The more it goes up, the more we recede, quote unquote, right? And then this is the big one right here, the great crash, the Big Short movie, right? This is when Bitcoin started, right around this time, January, February, boom, 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 January, and then it kept going. Now, we did have a short little recession here. We also had one in 2022, except Biden and them changed the definition of a recession from 2 negative GDPs to it's transitory, right? But this is where inflation comes from, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem. When you see Mondami saying we're going to give you a bunch of free stuff and this, that, and third, we have $23 trillion of M2 money supply in our economy right now. That's inflation, right? Forget the CPI numbers that came out today, whatever they were down 0.3 or what was it, 3.5 instead of 3.8 or something like that. Right here is the true money supply. Now, this is from May 2026, so we still got to get the June numbers in. But as you can see, and me and George talk about this all the time, from February 2020, in the beginning of the scamdemic, we got 15.5 trillion, and now we're up 7.5 trillion since then. We've increased the money supply by so much. That's why everything costs so much, because so many, when people say, oh, it's supply and demand. Yeah, supply and demand of the dollars. The supply of the dollars have gone up, and the demand has gone down because there's more dollars. Remember when $100 used to buy you a bunch of stuff? Now it doesn't. The $100, I tell everybody, every time I get a $100 bill, it's the new 20. As soon as you get it, it's spent. So the only thing that's going to stop this, in my personal opinion, the thing that cannot be inflated is Bitcoin. It's completely different.
Amen. Amazing stuff, boys. Jor, you gotta say something, man. You've been making the three of us run our mouths the whole time. So
he's burning up. He's hot as heck right now.
I know.
I'm just this will probably be the last time that the four of us get to hang out together on the BTC Mastermind.
Oh man.
Shout out to everybody who's watching still on Rajat's channel, Robin's channel, Forrest's channel, and you guys should be over here. We posted it in the chat there. But join the main chat, youtube.com, BTC Mastermind. We can all hang out together. I think that, you know, to me, when I see all this stuff, when we talk about the politicians, the money printing, in my mind, I have a very hard time debating this stuff and thinking about it because I know it's done. It's done. There's no coming back from any of this. And we kind of made a couple points of like, both sides believe they're right. I agree with that. Like, I think that Democrats believe that, Republicans believe that, BIP 110 believes that, CORE believes that, communists believe that, capitalists believe that. Everybody thinks they're right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing that and making the decisions that they make. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what people think. I think we're moving into a world that's going to be based around energy. And unless you have that energy, your opinion's worth fucking nothing to anybody. So that's, to me, the system that's playing out. It's tough to navigate this for my brain because I don't know, man. It means nothing to me. But you look at that, it's like 40 trillion. That's a M2 money supply, $24 trillion. That's a joke. 40 trillion. These are numbers that are just like not even, the human mind can't comprehend how large these numbers are. We're never going back to this fiat system. So it's like, to me, what's the point? And obviously Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin already exists. And the thing that gives me a lot of hope is that I wouldn't be comfortable talking about this stuff on the internet in Canada if Bitcoin didn't exist. Because somebody made the point earlier, is like, they can take everything from you, but they can't take your Bitcoin. And I think that when people like us understand that, because there's a lot of people on Rumble, on BitChute, on Nostr, who are talking about this stuff, they don't know Bitcoin exists yet. But when they figure that out, man, that's going to be something, because people are just slowly dropping off the Titanic. We're here with the lifeboat. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, there's no coming back from that. There's nothing ever, no politician, no political party, no organization that can turn the ship around. So it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, that's where my mind goes. It's just, the more we talk about it, the more we give it any sort of power and energy. It's just like, to me, it's done. It's just all actors on TV. It's all puppets. And, you know, I wouldn't have any sort of hope for the future. I went through a very dark stage in life when I knew all this stuff. At that point, it was probably $35 trillion or $30 trillion. But without Bitcoin, man, we would be totally screwed. And I really believe that we're going to go through this kind of fork in the road. The fork came in January 3rd, 2009 or October 31st, 2008, whatever you want to point to. That's where there was a fork in the road. And, you know, we're never going back to that system. And these two paths are going to keep going for a very long time. And so it's the people who want the sovereignty, who are willing to take some sort of personal responsibility. They're the only ones who are going to make it out of this alive, I believe anyways. On the other side of this, everything's great. We're based on sound money again. We return to that, to truth, to transparency, to being able to verify things. Like it's such a foreign concept to people, but it's like, that's how things should be. We've just been lied to our entire lives from the day we came out of the womb to, you know, this is how it is. You have no say, you have no power, you can't do anything. Well, you know what? Fuck that, because you can now. You can take all the power into your own hands and nobody can do a damn thing about that. And to me, that's the only thing that matters. That's what the conversation should be around. All this is just bullshit to me. It really is. And I don't mean to like shit on you guys or anybody.
No. I know how you think, George. The problem,
a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah. The problem with that thinking though, George, it's like being an ostrich and putting your head in the sand, right? And saying like, because you say, to me, this doesn't exist. The problem is it does exist. right? So the people back in 1776, if they would have had that same mentality of, oh, I'm just going to ignore King George and I'm going to do this and do that, we can never fight. In order to win, again, I focus on Bitcoin as well, but we have to defeat the current system, right? And in order to defeat the current system, I'm not saying obsess over and say, oh my God, it's bad. Know the problem and know the problem and then fight against the problem. That's the problem right there. The money, like we still live in the fiat world. I don't get paid in Bitcoin. Okay, I do get some money in Bitcoin, but I get paid in fiat currency. When I go to the grocery store, I have to pay fiat currency. When I pay my taxes, I have to pay fiat currency. This debt saying right here, Lou, you saw this. The debt is 39.5 trillion. If you did what you're supposed to do and paid your taxes, you owe $357,000. Right?
That's what I mean.
I talk about
like
this all the time. You got the
you
got the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all this stuff. But the interest on the debt right here on the right, these are our four major spending items, is more than our military. And that's not good, man. So again, we got to fight against this shit. I get it, Jor. I understand, man. But for me, I take a completely 180 different approach than that, because again, man, in order to win in the fight against these people, we have to let these people know that they've been lied to. You've been lied to about your school. You've been lied to about your food. You've been lied to about the shit you watch on fucking TV. Everything you learn, the fucking food pyramid's a lie.
But people figure that out, though, not by us.
They haven't, though, George. They haven't figured it out yet. We figured it out, and there's shit that we haven't even figured out yet.
But
right.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that if something like Bitcoin existed in 1776, do you think that the boys would have sent a fucking letter to King George, or they just would have went about their own path and just said, who cares about you? Who cares?
Right. Well, there was two camps and you know this, Brandon, and you know this too, Lou. When the Congressional Congress got together, you had some people saying we're never going to fight against the king. We can't beat him. He's too big. The Great Britain is too strong. Their army, we're loyalists. We're part of them. We're part of that system. We can't fight against them. But there was a small group of people that said, boom, 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 boom. There was a small group of people that said, we got to fight against them. There's no way. Why would we fight? We're going to lose if we fight. So the system that they did, they said, you know what? They said, we're going to make a declaration of independence. We're going to declare our independence, AKA maybe a Bitcoin system or whatever you want to call it. Boom. The Constitution. I love it. I love it, Lou. Lou, you come to Vegas. You coming to my house.
Are you sitting on all those books? What do you got going on?
Listen, Lou. When you come to Vegas, next time you come to Vegas, you coming to my house. I got some shit to show you, bro. And so
I also have this one, 1 minute with God. It's good. It's good. Yeah.
You got to have your Bible up there, because we're all coming from different angles, right? Jor's coming from, hey man, just ignore the system, focus on Bitcoin and all that. But how can we defeat it if we're not focused on it? That's my thing. What do you guys think? Because me and Jor agree on everything except this. What do you guys? What do you guys think about that?
I think it's multi-front war. I mean, I think, and this is where like everyone has to do their thing, right? Like I think first off, it's got to be you got to take care of yourself in the sense of if I don't put my own mask on, I die, and then I can't help anybody. So it's like help yourself and do what you need to do. Get your Bitcoin self custody, get your open model set up, get your privacy stack, your Nostr VPNs, like all your communication. Like that's what everyone should be doing. Because I believe like what you guys are saying, you're both right. But it's like you guys are living. It's like two ships passing the night. You're living in different time frames, and that's part of it too. So it's like I believe it's a saturation point we need to get to of people with FU money, like people that are actually outside the system. They're like, no, I can defend myself. I'm independent. I got a garden going. I got whatever. Now that's not for everybody, but we didn't say it had to be everybody, right? That's just 1%, 2% of the population that needs to get very pissed off, very irate, and is independent. That's a saturation point to me of people that are like, yeah, I'm free and independent. I don't give a shit anymore. And I've had it, kind of to what you're saying with the founding fathers, but there was only a couple % of them. The people that came over here were badasses, and not most of those people still just were like, whatever, that's fine. Not saying that it was what George doing, and saying like, oh, that's fine, these things are fine, because that's not what George is saying. But people were loyalists to the king. So, and George's not a loyalist to any of that. So this is a little different. It's a little kind of apples and oranges a little bit, but it's fascinating because to me, it's this multi-front war. It's where the more political inclined people need to go fight those political battles. And you have people that are like, hey, I got to go build the Citadel. I got to go do these things They need to go do those things. And I think that we're just not at a point where there's enough of us in these different silos. Unfortunately, there's not enough of people awake. There's not enough people pissed off in these different silos to go work in their genius zone. I think that's what's frustrating. And because we only have so much time and attention and energy. And that's where, again, these dumb things will happen. The educators are all here, or a lot of us are here, right, in the chat or whatever. And then as these dumb things play out, more people will come to us. And we all know, like when the Bitcoin price goes up, or there's really dumb things happen, like Canadian trucker events, or the Dutch farmers, or we get welded into our homes again, or the climate, national, world, international climate emergency they call. Well, guess what? There's gonna be another, 10 million people that wake up, and there's gonna be more people flooding to the channels to see, okay, these Bitcoiners might have had something right here. I got to figure this out now. Unfortunately, that's the way it works.
But that will only happen, again, price go up, right? So we spoke about this again last week. I think what we're saying, it's all really and relative is all really correct, but the ultimate proof of that would be that more people are putting their fiat and converting their fiat into, and then the Bitcoin exchange rate would go up, right? Like it would be at 100,000, then 150, then 200. And I think at that moment, I think a lot of those people would say, "Oh my God, well, we were wrong. We said that this shit was gonna die, and it's dying." You know how many comments and videos I see of people talking about, Bitcoin's dead. It was, it's not gonna amount to anything. Mind you, it was $647 exactly 10 years ago, and it's at 4,000, and it didn't amount to anything, really. Like, you're just a retard. But it just is what it is. Like, I think that, especially now, the more technology goes up, the more information we're accessible to. Seeing Bitcoin at 125, 126, and the deep into the hundreds, I think that will change the narrative. Again, it would change it. It changes every 4 years. That's literally why it's called the 4-year cycle. And every midterm year it bleeds, and it's just what it is. But then eventually it goes up. I think when it starts to go up again, people would be reminded once again of that. Even during the bear markets, all they had to do was just be vigilant. Like, that's it. Just stay humble, stack sats, and proof of work and proof of life, and everything will eventually follow up. So I think Bitcoin at those prices, I think Bitcoin at 85, 90,000 and 100,000, 105, and back to all-time highs, I think you'll see everybody shut the fuck up. And the biggest people that would be the Peter Schiffs of the world. It would be, the biggest criticizers of it. And I think a lot of people would then realize, oh my God, we were wrong. They'll FOMO at the top, and then shit will dip down again. And 4-year cycle, if it's still alive, then I think it's going to break eventually. But it's just human psychology, just like Brandon says. And I think that's the best point, as that human psychology. This is just the way humans are, bro. Like, and unfortunately, but I think the price go up will prove, that proof of the fact that everything that we talk about is true. And I think the way to prove it is that. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'd love to join you guys again. You got to put my picture in the thumbnail so I can, repost it and say that I was in there. If nobody's going to believe I was there. We're
working on the thumbnail.
Robin's I can do it. It's easy. Just throw one of my pictures in there, and we'll figure it out. But we'll
have one for Thursday. We're going to wrap up here anyways, boys. Look, Jerry's showing the price from 10 years ago exactly today, $662. You could have got 150,000 sats for $1, which is
unbelievable.
Say that again, Jor. How many sats for $1?
151,000 sats for $1 10 years ago.
That's wild.
So, to me, I'm not saying that you guys are wrong. I think what Lou is doing with politics, I think that what Jerry's doing with politics, Brandon does his Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows talking about politics. Like, it's necessary. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think that we do need a bit of both. It's just very hard for my brain to comprehend. I don't know why that is. I can't explain it. But that's just where I'm at right now. So I think the one thing we'd all agree on is that Bitcoin is the solution. We just have to get more adoption. And really, all four of us are doing our damnedest to try to grow that. And so that's what we're going to keep doing here every Tuesday. We might be here Thursday. I don't know. We'll definitely have Jerry and Lou on the next thumbnail. That's a guarantee. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat today. Make sure you go subscribe to the BTC Mastermind channel and we can all hang out together. It's easy to find BTC Mastermind. I'll throw a link here. But any final thoughts, boys, before we wrap?
Yeah, when we hit the stop button, Lou, stay around.
You said Thursday?
Yeah,
Thursday. Yeah, I think it's going to be a couple hours.
No, that's good. Yeah, I can
usual.
make Thursday.
Yeah.
You heard me, Lou? I said when we hit the stop button, hang around for a second.
Cool.
Yeah, great stuff, guys. Great chat today. Everyone has their place. Everyone's got to fight in their silo on the different battlefronts. That to me is the biggest thing. And don't lose faith at the end of the day. We're here to battle. That's what we're here to do. This is the church militant. This is spiritual warfare. The earth is called the church militant for a reason. And it ends, hey, when you're tapped on the shoulder and it's your time to go, then guess what? You fought the good fight, as they say. So that's what we're here to do, and what we will continue to do.
They're calling us the Bitcoin Avengers. So let's
I walk by faith even when I cannot see. Corinthians 5:7. So
yes, sir.
Yeah,
great chat.
Good way to end it, boys.
Thank you, chat. Everyone in the chat. That was a great chat today too.
Thank you guys so much.
People in the chat.
We'll see you Thursday.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Lou. Great shirt, Lou. Thanks, Robin.
Let's go. Oh, Jerry too. Let's go.
You guys don't even want to know the
Jerry.
price. You don't even want to know the price of this shit.
Let's go. Let's go.
This
okay.
is
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, we finished yet?
Lou.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No. I was asking, are we finished?
Oh yeah, we're good. I'm gonna press end, then we'll chat for a couple minutes. So thanks, everybody. See you Thursday, maybe if not for sure next Tuesday. Adios.